Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to the Jess Marshall podcast. This week, I'm stoked to have on Lesli Marshall. Same last name, not related. She's an awesome artist, curator, innovator, creator. Dallas, born and bred. Pretty rare these days. Loves the state of Texas. She's also an entrepreneur. Excited for this podcast. I think you'll enjoy it. You're probably wondering who I am. I am Jess Marshall. I own a restoration company as well as real estate development company, and I'm all about helping you rebuild your home or property after a storm hits it. The reason why I do this podcast is because I like to talk to passionate people who live fearless, do-it-yourself lives. Hope you enjoy the podcast. Talk to you after. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Jess Marshall podcast. Wow. Mark that swipe. Bring it. I'm not voting for Beto. I can tell. I'm sorry, Beto is what I call him. So I can tell you that. So I think we're on the same page there. I'm
an artist, but I also have my license to carry. So
yeah,
that's kind of how I describe myself.
Yeah, it's very interesting because a lot of artists are very blue, and you're for sure a red artist.
For sure. But more also because, I mean, for business and entrepreneurs, I mean, I look at it that way.
I totally agree with you. Mm-hmm. You're a Texas native. Mm-hmm. Where were you born?
In Dallas.
In Dallas?
Yeah, I was born in Dallas.
So you're like one of the 10 people who were born in Dallas ever?
But I was born in Dallas and then grew up in Grapevine.
Right on.
So kind of DFW area.
Yeah. Were you a Mustang?
I was a pony.
That's where you went to high school?
I was a pony in middle school, and then they built the new high school, Colleyville Heritage. It was like really fancy high school. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I ended up, the way that they drew the district lines, they pulled from our area of Grapevine, so I got pushed to Colleyville. So. Well,
there's worse places to go to high school.
Hey, I would say it's a blessing. I was upset at first because all my friends were going to Grapevine, and then I met double the people, and it was good.
You're pretty outgoing, like mingler, just in general. Would you describe yourself that way? I don't know. Yeah. Just like intentionally out meeting people, or at least people who you feel like you might share views with. And...
Yeah, I love meeting interesting people.
I mean, you're here.
I would say, yeah. I think I was an only child, so I've always been pretty hyper. I was really hyper as a kid and really just a little weirdo, and was always kind of a little older for my age, I guess. I don't know. Gotcha. I was always a little into everything.
And
I think I'm still that way.
Yeah. When I asked you if you would come on the pod, you said yes. I haven't been on very many of them, and I was like, yo, you're gonna be awesome. And then you said, what's it about? I'm into a lot of stuff, and I think that's awesome because I am too. Mm-hmm. The reason I started the podcast was because everyone was telling us all not to talk to each other or to talk to each other through a piece of paper. And so I was like, fuck you to all of that.
Or a hazmat
Yes,
suit.
Full on. I thought about wearing one once when I had a very conservative guest on, like showing up like in full cold regalia, like full like a beekeeper. Mm-hmm. But then, because the studio is so small, I was like, I will last in this for like 30 to 45 seconds because I've got a claustrophobia issue. And so I didn't do that.
Nice. But, did it go okay? Were they fine with you?
They were
being distanced, or did they measure?
No.
Did it have to be 6
Well,
feet?
no, they're like more militant about not distancing than me.
Oh, okay.
So
okay, got it.
I don't think I've had anyone on who was like super crazy about that.
Okay.
I probably don't want to talk to them anyways. I always like to talk to people with different viewpoints, though.
Did you sanitize this before I
Hell fucking no.
I actually did.
Of course, hey, there's Clorox right there.
I'm good.
Okay,
I'm good. I don't like using sanitizers or
Neither do I.
Type of, the germs are good for you.
That's
Play
right.
in the dirt. Get all the germs.
I don't like antibiotics. Mm-hmm. I like to sleep on the lawn. Just I mean, I was a Boy Scout, so the cold did a lot of things to a lot of people. I think it also showed all of us how easy it is to control people with one little thing called fear.
Yes.
When the cold rolled out, what was your reaction to it?
Immediately, I did not think it was a big deal.
Yeah.
Immediately, I was like, this is hyped up. You know, I did feel it was to scare people. And I really didn't take it as serious as a lot of people were taking it. I'm a pretty healthy person. I feel like take your vitamins, take care of yourself, you know. And with the media, for me, I knew it was just overhyped. Something was going on. For me, I was like, something's up because this is just over the top.
Your intuition kicked in, kind of?
I feel that way.
Yeah.
I felt just kind of like something else is going on, you know, and I shared that with friends and some family, and everyone thought I was the crazy one.
Oh, yeah. What's up? Hey, welcome to the club there.
Now the tides have turned. It seems a little
People
bit.
are getting back pay now, and
I love
you can
to
have
see
your
it.
job back.
I love to see it.
We were wrong, and much like all other vaccinations, this vaccination might minimize symptoms, but it's not going to completely promise that you're never going to get the cold. Like some of the statements that were made about it at the beginning, I was just like, that's not, I am in construction, and I know that's not how that works.
Right.
That's not how that works.
Right. I think for me, I was more so like, it should be everyone's choice. Like, you should be free to do whatever you want. Like,
So,
if
like,
you don't
kinda
want to
like
be in public,
your
you
body,
should
your
just stay
choice?
home. Yes.
Oh, I'll be damned. No shit.
Yeah, no shit.
Huh. Fascinating viewpoint right there.
It's weird how it changes based on what's going on.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's and I did feel like, you know, people, if you're not feeling well, or for elderly or people that do have autoimmune or whatever it may be, if the masks work, you're wearing the mask, I shouldn't be an issue to
Well, you
you
need to wear
if I
3.
don't want to wear.
So.
I was just on a flight 2 days ago. There was a whole family double masked.
Yeah.
On the flight, the husband was sitting next to me, and I really was just looking at it. He took it off. He was drinking a Mountain Dew.
Hell yeah.
And
Health first.
I was like, and then all of his kids were double masked. And I'm just thinking, I really wanted to ask him, like, at this point, you just took that off, you're drinking a Mountain Dew. Like, do you know what's in the Mountain Dew? Like,
I feel like you did yourself a favor by saving the energy of not
saving my silence.
Yes, by not even getting into that discussion. I was told that because I didn't take the cold seriously, that it was my responsibility that other people in other states were passing away from comorbidities and a combo. I was told that by members of my own family.
Isn't that interesting?
And I was like, is that a fact?
Yeah.
For example, I believe that an unborn child died in Harris County, so Houston. And for people who don't know the geography of Texas, it's fucking big. So we live like 4.5 hours away from Houston. But because this unborn child died and the mom had COVID, that was then my fault because I didn't want to put something in my body that had no science behind it. And my question back was, oh, they did a autopsy on the unborn to see what the cause of death?
Right.
And that was not taken.
Well, you can't ask any questions.
No,
you know,
no.
It became more of, I think it was the fear. Like, people get very fearful, and when they're told to do a certain thing that will cure it, you know, that there's an answer, that if you're not doing that answer, it keeps them in fear. And I mean, I lost friends over it. I had friends that were like, just get the vaccine and then it will end. I was like, but people are still getting COVID after the vaccine. So why aren't we thinking about it in that way? Like, it's still happening, so that's not the answer. So I was more just look at the actual facts of what's happening and just think outside of what you're being told. Like, look at the actual facts, you know? And for me, I just felt that it was too new. The vaccine was too new, you know, and I didn't feel comfortable putting something like that into my body. I mean, and people will say, like, well, you drink alcohol or you've done drugs or whatever. Well, that stuff's been around a lot longer than the COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just, and people, you know, the symptoms of getting sick. If I felt sick, I wouldn't go around other people. I actually never caught COVID. I never took a COVID test, and I stock up on my vitamin. I don't know how.
You didn't avoid it, but you didn't catch it.
I didn't catch it.
Yeah.
I never took a COVID test.
It's crazy now too, right? Because if people know that you're a free thinker and you didn't just, you know, bite the company line, hook, line, and sinker like so many people did, which I don't judge those people, but I have to be honest. I definitely think a certain way about them and about their susceptibility to fear. And maybe we won't talk much more about this, but it's just been a fascinating study in like it's separated and divided people very quickly, faster than anything I've seen, way faster than Obama and Trump.
Yeah, for sure.
It was bam,
very quickly, and I think it's still there, but I think there's a little bit now that it's kind of passed. And you don't have to have the mask, or, they say the pandemic's over. Well, now he's saying today it's not. It's another global...
Well, it's almost November, Leslie. I don't know if you know about that.
I do know.
So
the
there's
midterms
stuff.
are coming. They're
Wait,
coming.
I don't watch the news. Like I said, I just cut that shit off.
Yeah.
Have there been like mass public apologies from like government officials for what went on? Like, we are sorry. Have you seen any of that? I haven't seen any of those,
No,
or really heard of them.
I haven't seen that yet.
I'm sure I'll hear that. I'm sure if it happens, David Harris Jr. will tell me about it.
I do. I like David.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He is awesome. I think the way, it's been a few years, and with all of the like layoffs based on the vaccine, and things that are now turning, especially in blue states, like just in the last few days, you're seeing people being reinstated to their jobs and getting payback for being laid off during that time. I think that change is coming.
Do they
We're
get
gonna
like an
see a lot of that.
inflation-based interest rate on that back pay too?
I would hope so, but probably not.
Yeah, they're like, I had to live at the YMCA for 6 months because I lost my house, so I'll go ahead and take that times 0.175.
But I love to see it. I love to see that people did stand up for their own beliefs, because my whole thing is like, if you want to take the vaccine, take it. If you want to wear a mask, wear the mask. But no one should be, let go from their job, because if the mask works and the vaccine works and you took it and we're in work together, then there should be no problem.
Right.
You shouldn't be getting COVID then, right?
Yep.
So, and then I just kind of love to see that there's been a payback to the people who really stood up for their beliefs, and you're starting to see that change, and they're getting, their job back or money back for that time. I mean, that's a tough decision.
Would you go back to work for an employer that fired you for that? I would not.
I don't.
No, I've never worked.
I wonder
for
if you could go back for like a week and get all your pay and then leave.
And then bail.
I would definitely do that.
Kind of like how if guys play for like 3 or 4 different pro teams, they'll like go back to the one they liked the most and sign like a 1-day contract so they can retire as like a Seahawk or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back for 1 day so I can retire as like New York City sanitation worker or whatever.
I think if I could go back, for a week and get the pay and just show face to everyone that was still there, I think I would have that in me where I would show up.
You just walk in and be like, "What's up? It's me, bitches. How you doing?
Look who's back."
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that would kind of be in me, that kind of...
I started an OnlyFans and an Etsy while I was gone. I don't even need this check, but I'm golden now.
It. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm buying a fucking sailboat.
It pushed me to start my own business, but I'm back to get it. I love it. That's awesome.
Have you always been like a free thinker? Like kind of like a skeptic? Like, oh, I don't know. That sounds weird. I don't know. I'm going to do my own research.
More so, yes. I think in most situations I'm like that. Probably because I don't trust a lot of people.
Ditto. So when you were little and you said you were a little weirdo, were you kind of like rebellious?
I think...
Because you live your own life.
I live my own life.
You live
I definitely
an interesting life.
Did my own thing. I think when I was younger, when I say I was into a lot of things, I was an athlete. I played basketball my whole life. I don't know if you knew that, but I was an athlete my whole life. I loved playing sports. I was a little tomboy. And, really didn't get into the creative, into the arts till I was older.
Really?
But I was always really creative as a kid, making my clothes or building forts or collecting bugs. I mean, I was just into everything kind of. But I was definitely, I kind of had different friend groups. I didn't have just one group of friends. I kind of fit in with different people. But I also felt kind of
all the time.
I was a tomboy. I was hanging out with the guys in the neighborhood playing sports, but I feel like I was kind of a loner too in a weird way, just because I didn't really fit into a certain group and I did think differently and I was kind of into different things. So there are times where I'm a pretty solitary, I would say, person in my own right. Just I love having alone time. So like coming out and doing something like this, like I have to have a lot of energy. You have a lot of energy.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Did you get did you double up on the coffee just to get kind of amped and
I need to
ready?
get jacked up. I was saying that on the way here.
It's all
was
fake.
like,
It's all fake. It's all fake.
I was
It's all
reminded
mess.
of the movie Role Models.
Oh
You know,
my
where they
God,
drink
yes.
the energy drinks and he slams up into
Hell
the mascot.
yes.
I was like, I need to feel like him right now. I feel
Yeah.
like I need to go in like that.
I know it. I want to be a ring announcer, so I'm like working on my catchphrases.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I got a real, oh wow. I'm the one with the on phone here.
How
Unbelievable.
rude.
That
was-
ringtone.
It was a timer from a sales call yesterday. I'm very embarrassed.
It's okay.
I feel like that's very disrespectful,
So
and I
professional.
apologize.
It's okay. I no showed last week. So.
You didn't. You gave me a heads
No.
up, and I wasn't feeling like super. I wasn't feeling like super energetic. So
Well, good.
Yeah.
No,
I-
I sorry. I interrupted you.
Well, no. I mean, I think. Oh, you got
This is it right
I know.
here.
I watched this the other day.
I love
which is hilarious.
Paul Rudd is amazing.
How is he
but,
59 years old and he looks like he's 25?
I mean, I need the juice. Look at this. I want to be the mascot. It's so
Kids
great.
take drugs because they're awesome. No, maybe they just understand that life is pain, and if you smoke something or take a pill, it'll go away for a while. I'll drink to that.
So good.
No.
People say embrace life, enjoy life. Just do it, live it, rock it. Fuck it. Because life is horrible. You know, I may not be so happy-go-lucky.
That high school kid looks like he's 25.
So good. He looks older than Paul Rudd.
I know he does. Sean William Scott is in this too, and he's so over the top, man. It's just everywhere, always. You want to talk about a dude with energy?
So much energy.
There's no way that guy meditates. Maybe he does. Maybe that's why he has so much energy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's-
listened to meditative music before I came today.
Did you?
I listened to certain frequency.
Which
healing.
one? 4080?
Different ones. I'll
Yeah.
pick one. You know, it'll say like
See
this
how
one's
evolved?
for trauma. That was very
Oh,
good.
trauma.
Did you
yeah.
say
This one's
4080?
for clearing.
I don't know, bro.
Clearing your chakra, or this one's for calm
What
before the storm.
Okay, Sohail, if
four-
that's not the right thing to call the frequency, what am I supposed to?
408 is one
I thought
that's healing.
It's like 432.
I don't know,
432.
man.
There's
Yeah,
a few different ones that are great.
I just put it on YouTube, and I'm like
Yeah.
about to trip on mushrooms.com video / right now. Bang. Okay,
it-
this is great. Yeah.
Yeah, it gives you the vibe. It sets the vibe. I think I've gotten more into listening to calming music. I think with my life and job and my brain, I need that because my brain is always going and in creative state and on fire. Like I try and tell people like I can never turn it off.
Yeah.
So I'm working on that, controlling the mind.
Are you into stoicism? What?
In what way?
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. When I first started discovering it, this is way before Ryan Holiday made it like cool. Mm-hmm. If he can make anything cool. But whatever, I digress. I was like, man, this is interesting. This dude, Marcus Aurelius, he wrote all this shit. Mm-hmm. He didn't want anybody. It was just for him, allegedly. Mm-hmm. That's what they say.
Right.
I think his publicist like shut that off in a fax because it was so long ago. And a lot of people are like, when I say this, their response will always be like, no, you know, these guys, they were also warriors, these philosophers. But to me, stoicism's interesting. Like, okay, someone wrongs you. The best revenge is to not be like them. I'm like, okay, no one would ever watch that movie because the best movies in the world are revenge movies.
With the comeback. Yeah.
And there's, right? No one's like, I forgive you. $100 billion and 9 Academy Awards goes to the I Forgive You movie. No, it's like Braveheart, motherfucker. Like, no.
Did you see Bill Maher talk about revenge movies?
No.
I didn't see it.
He was talking about violence in
Bill Maher's
movies.
having a little change of heart
What's up
lately.
with that?
Yeah,
or he
so-
says he's
Kinda
the same
like it.
guy. Can you find that? Because no.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I don't go on the internet and search for Bill Maher stuff.
Sometimes it comes up in my social feed, but it's all the stuff where he's kind of
He says he's the same as he's always been. It's just
everyone else has gotten crazy.
Uber corporate responsibility.
Will you pump up that volume a little bit?
In America bends over backwards to get on the politically correct side of every issue. Hollywood has to tell us, why doesn't that include gun violence?
Better.
yes, especially the loud gun violence.
This is me at the farm.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Speed it up. So we
When
don't
liberals
get
scream,
striked.
do something after a mass shooting. Why aren't we also dealing with the fact that the average American kid sees 200,000 acts of violence on screens before the age of 18? And that, according to the FBI, one of the warning signs of a potential school shooter is a fascination with violence-filled entertainment. It's funny, Hollywood is the wokest place on earth in every other area of social responsibility. They have intimacy coordinators on set to chaperone sex scenes. They hire sensitivity readers to go through and edit scripts. Disney stood up to the don't say gay law. Another studio spent $10 million.
We get the point.
So yeah, let me walk you through that real quick because it's very confusing. Because, like you said, Bill Maher's. Hold on, let me turn my voice down.
Yeah, you're like a televangelist. You're so
yeah,
loud.
you're like, where are you
How's this?
coming from?
That's perfect.
Okay, so
In the ceiling. It's
so
rad.
Bill Maher, right? Like you said, he's had like a change of heart. He's definitely speaking for the more centrist than he used to. So his whole point in this video is that Hollywood's so woke that apparently you can't show essay, like certain types of assaults and sexual violence and whatnot
Right.
in Hollywood anymore.
Right.
Apparently, I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, they've done down like domestic violence in
Right.
movies is more implied and stuff like that.
So,
right?
so I agree with him on that they shouldn't do that. Movies and art should reflect life and right. But then he goes on and says, well, violence is so rampant. And he goes on about revenge movies and like John Wick and other revenge films
Man,
and
I
saying
love John
those
Wick.
need to
Northman.
be-
Yeah.
I love
Northman.
John Wick.
And he's saying those need to
John
be
Wick was rad.
banned. Those need to be banned instead of like Revenge of the Nerds. He talks about a lot, like movies with the R word or SA.
What's
So,
the R word?
Rape.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, I was gonna say something.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
like,
We're on
okay.
YouTube, so
I don't.
okay.
Yes. I just don't know how to talk anymore. I don't know like what's allowed.
Right.
So I'm like, hello.
but it's a funny thing. It's a funny thing you see from
You're like sweating.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Jess, and I like to roof stuff. How are you today? You know what I mean?
I think with this being, I think it comes down to the parents. I mean, at the end of the day, the parents should be in control of what their kids are seeing. And here I go being traditional, more conservative family, but that is, you are in control of what your kids are seeing at home and on their devices. And, having more control over that, I think it starts in the household is
I
what
can't
I
even
feel.
imagine
I mean,
what it would be like to have kids. My parental control of their screens would just be so next level.
yeah, I think I would be the crazy. Everyone says, I mean, I don't have kids yet, and everyone says, oh, just wait because you'll throw them the iPad and they'll be watching, whatever. I think I'm like going backwards because I moved way out into the country and I feel like I'll just make my kids be outside.
Yeah.
And they're going to be
They're gonna do what I
and
did.
learning.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, in the house, even now, TV time is very, very limited. I mean,
That's
it's
probably for the
very
best.
limited. I would be fine if there wasn't a TV in the house at all.
I feel like that would be tough for me because that's sort of my escape because my brain runs all the time like you said yours does, which is how we got onto this whole thing because I asked you about stoicism. Stoicism is control your mind. You're the gatekeeper of your own thoughts, all of that good stuff, right?
I started going back to that. I would say that, growing up, that wasn't something, talked about in the household or really, I mean, I come from a more middle class family. I grew up with just my mom. Only kid, she worked, and it was just kind of regular life. We weren't into like yoga or meditation or anything like that growing up, but it's something that I got into probably in my late 20s, early 30s, and really kind of went down that rabbit hole into meditation. I'd always felt very uncomfortable like thinking of meditation or yoga, just because I didn't feel like it was something I would be good at or be able to do. I felt like uncomfortable in my body doing that, I think. But when I got involved with yoga and meditation, it like completely changed my life.
Okay.
I had a big life change.
Like an epiphany?
Once I started. Yes. I had never been in control of my thoughts.
Okay.
Like they just ran wild. My creative thought. I mean, that's something where I couldn't turn it all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, squirrel all the time. And that's something that probably led to part of my career. I mean, I'm just kind of all over the place. I'll say I'm like a ping pong ball that's like bouncing everywhere. But I really tapped into an inner calm that I had never had before. And I did like a huge cleanse in my body that I'd never done before, and really got into my health and the food that I was eating and what I was reading. Then I went into that whole thing as like, you are everything that you're intaking is who you are. I mean, I really got into it. Started though with the calmness of the mind and yoga and just slowing down. That whole like pushing your body really hard and then having the calm moment is when I really tapped into that. And then I got really into the food I was eating. I had never, that wasn't something that I learned as a young child, how we ate. I mean, it was just normal to eat fast food and, cook a quick meal. And it's just the way life was. I mean, no one was really thinking of that. I mean, I was born in the 80s, 83. So during that time, I mean, it was like no one was really thinking.
So young. Crazy.
So young.
Yeah.
I just turned 39.
Get to be my age and you're, I'll be full white like Santa by next Christmas probably. It's going to be rad.
But it's good for a guy
rock it.
Getting the gray. I have so many grays. I got my hair done yesterday, so you wouldn't see them because I think I would be full gray if I let it go.
Let it do. Just do it, man.
Really?
All
I don't
natural.
know. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet.
Just do it. Just let it roll. I got no way around it. Mm-hmm. People are like, "Are you gonna like color that?" And I'm like, No.
Just let it go.
Have you ever met me? Do you think that I would color? I can barely get made to take a shower. I'm not going to color my hair, man. What are you talking about?
You could do like that spray stuff. No,
yeah, or the Ron Papille. Remember that guy? Those,
Just for men.
Yeah, those infomercials. He had like the.
Yep.
It was spray paint. He had spray paint hair too.
They make it now for us ladies that get roots. It's like a powder.
Awesome.
It's not.
So rad.
It's not rad. I've used it. And
doesn't work?
While you're doing it in the mirror, you just feel shame.
Oh, yes.
Like, I'm powdering my mouth.
I understand. Yeah, I feel a lot of that when I cut nose hairs.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is just too much.
I have a lot of
funny.
white hair.
Yeah?
You do?
I
That's
do.
why you always wear a hat?
Well, also the hairline issues.
Or
But,
the hairline.
Oh, I gotcha.
no, but it's fine. I have vitiligo.
Get
Yeah.
a...
I have
Oh,
the-
yeah,
the
that's
white
right.
stuff, so
I forgot about
my
that.
beard is like half white now,
Cool.
which I dig.
Yeah.
Get a skull tattoo
That's
like
cool.
Tommy Vex.
Yo, will
Just-
you give it to me?
Yeah, no, I will not. I'm not starting my tattoo career on your skull, bro.
Not yet.
That's not happening. No. Tattoos are awesome, but I'm not starting. No. The next tattoo I do is going to be on myself. I think that's.
Are you?
Sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, do that and then do us or do me.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounded weird, but all right.
Uh,
Growing up, what in your life made you think that you could live the life you live right now? What gave you like this permission to yourself to be like, when I'm older, I am not working for, I don't know. I'm not working at Home Depot. I'm not having a corporate job. Mm-hmm. What like, who do you think you are that you can live the life? Who growing up
Who
did
do you even think
that's
you are?
and that's what people think, man.
They do.
All the time. Whether they say it or they don't, they're just like, who do you think you are? You're running your own businesses. You're
You won't
starting
know how to
business.
Do that. You're an artist. You're never gonna make it.
You're a girl.
Yeah.
You got no shot.
Yeah. You don't have any, education in that. You don't know how to do.
Separate that as a drop, Sohail. Let's play that in the future with other female guests.
Got it.
Good.
What?
Except I taped it back.
Yeah. God damn.
I make that joke so many.
It's great.
I make that joke a lot.
It's
Sometimes
a great,
I really catch people off guard.
It's a funny joke.
Fun.
It's
fun.
a very Eliza Schlesinger joke. 100%.
It's fun.
It is. But what gave you that? What made it in your mind like, or was it just like I'm gonna blaze forward and just what happens happens?
What's weird? So I've talked about this. Like, I never had the fear of failure. Like, people talk about this fear of like failing at something.
They won't try stuff because they.
And that was never in me.
Wow.
Like, I was like, I'll try that. I want to try that. I want
Badass.
to try that. And then if it didn't work out, I was like, well, I wasn't supposed to do that. And then I would just try something else. It never felt like the feeling of if I do this and I mess up or I fail at it, that other people are going to judge me like it's bad. It was more of just, why not try it?
So you're very adventurous.
Very.
What is what's been your biggest failure? Business failure.
Oh man.
Life failure. What's been? No,
I've
we're
had
about to get into
whoa,
that.
whoa.
This is not the Brene Brown podcast.
I'm like, wow, I've got a few. I would say, but failing at things or making mistakes at things or trying something new and it doesn't work out is a learning experience. Like, I would say for me that every time I tried something new and it didn't work out, I learned from that. I never took it as like just being too hard on myself. I mean, I am hard on myself, but in a way of just wanting to push forward in what I enjoy doing. More so if something works out, I don't really hold on to that. You know, I'm able to push forward pretty quickly. And it may just be some type of like survival tactic. It was like an only child and just going through life. Like, you just keep going, you know? But I think that growing up, so I started working and helping like my mom when I was like 13. So I started working at a young age. And then I think just that experience of being around adult, like, you always thought as a kid, like, I always thought like all the adults know what's going on.
Yeah, they got it figured out.
They got it figured out. They
Right.
know what's going on. And then the more I was around at a young age, adults, I'm like, no one knows what they're doing.
Nope.
No one has it together.
No.
And you know what?
And I mean,
Today,
no one.
I still, no, I'm 39. Everyone's still trying to figure it out.
Bro.
And no one has it together. And I think that in some way, it switched my thinking when I was, you know, in high school and middle school and high school, being around other adults, where I was just like, wait, they're still trying to figure it out. Then it just switched to where I was like, then I'm going to try whatever I want to do. It kind of led me, I think, more so in that direction of being like, okay, what do I enjoy doing? I'm going to try and do those things. And I've always said at the end of the day, if it didn't work out, well, I can get some shitty job like this, you know?
Right.
It's like I was already doing jobs like that at a young age. It's
Sure.
like I knew that I could do that and survive.
Yeah.
But I just felt like, why not try it? And then my whole thinking, I've always been like, okay, if this other person is doing it, I could do that. They're not any different than me. They're a human being that either took a risk or got an opportunity. If they can do it, I can do it. I don't feel that there's a difference in another human being, whether they're older or have more experience. If they're doing something, I feel like you can do it too.
Yeah, you know, sounds like that was just in you. That was very in me too. Mm-hmm. And also was the taking a look around going, wow, it's like, it's, you got to have your own back out here because,
Yes.
I mean, my parents were awesome, and I came from a big family, and I'm the oldest. But I was for sure like, yeah, man, we're all hanging on by a thread here.
Yeah.
This is not what they tell you it is.
It's not what they tell you.
No.
Like, adults still just don't have it together.
No, not at all.
And then the more you talk with people and the more, you know, people didn't follow their passion. People got stuck in a job that they don't enjoy. People have regret. They feel, you talk to more people, they're like, man, I really wish in my 20s I would have, traveled around, or I wish that I would have taken that other job, or I wish, so many people that you talk to have regrets and didn't take the risk or were in fear. It all goes back to fear of failure, I feel like, or the judgment of how other people are going to view you.
Or fear of rejection.
Or rejection.
It's all fear of some kind.
It's all a fear. And then it's like, there was something in me, I guess, and I did go against the grain. I mean, people did say, no one's going to be into your art. It's weird. No one's going to buy that. You don't have experience
People
to do
said
this.
that to you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I made really weird art, too, by the way.
Yeah.
I was making some weird stuff. But I was just like, but other people are doing this. I would see other artists that were making weird stuff, and they were making a living.
Yeah.
So, but I did back myself up. I mean, I was working other jobs and bartending, and I was surviving.
You definitely learned the value of hard work, and you learned how to hustle when you were 12,
I'm definitely a
13 years
hustler.
old. Yeah.
I mean, I have a client right now, and it's a really big developer I'm working with out of Florida, and they told me, they go, you remind us of like a Turkish salesman with a trench coat.
Yeah.
I said, I kind of am,
That's awesome.
I could probably sell anything. I'm in the art business, but I mean, I think that I do have a very, I have a hustle mentality and really in anything that I would do. But I think I followed my passion and was able to create a business out of it. But if I had to do something else, I feel I would always kind of have that hustle. Survival, you can make it happen.
Leslie,
Yes.
do you have an art page? Or
Online?
do you have any of your weird art up? I'm looking.
Weird art, man.
Is the Caesar one you?
If you Google me, just kidding.
Do
I
it.
said that yesterday. I had a big meeting. They were
It
like,
does
I didn't
sound
bring.
very pretentious.
No, that's not one. My weird art, like if you Googled Lesli Marshall artist, there's probably some stuff online. If you go to
Imaging?
images, we'll go old school. There's probably something in here if you scroll down. One of
That's
my old
you.
painting. That's me. There she is. No, yesterday I had to lead a
Is this you?
big meeting. Where? Yeah, that's a mural that we did for Victory.
That's
That was for
gorgeous.
Cassie.
Yes, fire that one up.
We did some funky, like they wanted geometric animals and like different colors for wayfinding and
That's
stuff at a
rad.
development. So we did a bunch. We did a really cool bull, like skeleton bull and elephants and all kinds of stuff. No, I have some really, when I first started out, I was self-taught. So I was doing mixed media. I just started kind of messing around with paint and charcoal and really enjoyed it. I think it was more of an expression and like, I lost
this-
time. Like what I could
this one
tell
you?
people. No, I wish. That's Michael Reeder. He's amazing, but I work with
It's
him.
mixed media.
Yeah, it is. You would have to probably scroll down for a little bit. There's probably something old in there that
Keep
would
going.
pop up.
I'm
Okay.
just gonna.
Your that self-taught. What did you study at North Texas?
So I played basketball year-round, select team AAU from the age 7 through my senior year of high school.
Wow.
And I was going to play
Point
ball
guard?
in college. I was a shooting guard.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3-point shooter. Still got it.
Do
By the
ya?
way, I love to play, yeah.
Still got it.
Still got it. But I was just burnt out.
Yeah.
I mean, but everyone that knew me was like, of course Leslie's going to college for basketball. I mean, that's
Wow.
what everyone knew that was just the direction I would go. But, I had played every weekend, nights, practice, summer, travel team. And from the age of 7, I mean, I'd always been an athlete. I was like, I don't want to be a coach. I don't want to go in and play ball. It's just not something, I mean, honestly, I didn't want to play in the WNBA. Like, that didn't excite me. Okay.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't something that, so I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Well, if you did play in the WNBA, just don't go to Russia with a vape. Okay. I might never
know.
see you again.
I know.
I think it's cool that you're so high on passion, because that's what I like to do, is talk to people who are passionate. Because I think that everything runs on passion. Like when I'm feeling the worst, it's when I'm just like, oh my gosh, like everything is a job today. I don't understand.
You're
what do I
having to
need?
adult. Do all
Well,
the adulting
yeah.
parts that aren't fun. Yeah.
That's one part of plant medicine that's helped me a lot, because I have a bunch of concussions from this bad boy right here. Is it gets me firing again, and it gets me excited. And even if it's just, deleting like listserv emails
Yes.
because they annoy me or whatever. If I can have a little passion in there somewhere, I can make that go a long, long way.
That's good.
So you didn't want to play, so you were just like, I'm out. So
I was out, and that was,
but you
there
wanted
was
to go
some
to college?
disappointment in that. I did want to go to college. So I'm the first in my family to go to a university, a 4-year, and
Good for
get
you.
a bachelor's degree.
Who do you think you are?
Who do you think
Again,
you are?
that's
but that
awesome.
was supported. I mean, fully, to get an education, and I worked through college. But I went to UNT my freshman year, and I took a few art classes, and I loved it, and I was horrible. So the TA at UNT, because UNT was an art school, and I
Right.
mean, everyone
Art
was
and music.
just,
Oh yeah.
and I was a newbie, and I was in drawing 1, and we were doing value with charcoals, and then at the end, you would have to put them all up on the wall, and they would go down the line, and I was the worst every time. And the TA, I'll never forget, she stood there, and she was like, this is just not for you. Like, you're not getting it. You're not getting it. But I loved it. There was something about, like, I would say, like, I would kind of lose time. Like, I would get really into it, and it would stop everything else in my mind because I was just going 900 miles an hour
There
all
it
the
is.
time.
That's why you liked it.
That's why I liked it. There was a pause.
It was meditative.
Yes.
For you.
There was, I had to be really, really focused on it. So that allowed me to kind of stop thinking about everything else. So I enjoyed that. But then I ended up leaving UNT after my freshman year and going to Brookhaven. So I went to Brookhaven. It's a junior college, a 2-year. And I ended up taking every art class that I could take.
Yeah.
I did everything from welding to 3D sculpture design, painting, drawing. And I had one teacher, Marla Ziegler. She changed my life. One day, she was amazing. She would walk around the class, and she would come up if you were working. She would draw a fly on your piece. And I'd be like, she's like, this stinks.
That's awesome.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
So in some of my old paintings, I have flies in there.
That's
and stuff.
funny.
It's cool.
Wow.
So she one day came up to me. We were doing a charcoal portrait again. And she came up to me, and she just took my hand, and she just darkened out the charcoal like really far. She goes, see what just happened? And right then, like, my brain clicked. Then I wasn't afraid to go really in and start finding the value. And it completely changed my work. Just that one move by her, And
Like you didn't have to be so careful.
yes, because I was being really cautious, like light. I wasn't really going for it.
Right.
And that all of a sudden, something in my brain just clicked, and I got it. It was like, then you should see the charcoal portraits I can do. It became like I can do photorealism ones,
Really?
and I really was into it. And what's funny about that year is that I was working a lot, kind of like, who do you think you are moment. This is probably a failure. I was working, and I thought, I just work so much, and I go to class, but I'm too tired today, and it was portfolio review day, and I didn't show up. Marla flunked me that year. I got an F.
Wow.
She taught me.
Tough love.
She taught me a very hard lesson about showing up,
Yeah.
not making excuses, even if you're having to work hard. And so I do have an F on my college.
Well, I
transcript,
think
and had to retake her.
that's so the next semester you're just like, hey,
I walked in. I was like,
how we doing?
hello again. And it was so cool because that year she pretty much let me run the class.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think that artists, they just have talent and they can just be like, yeah, I'm gonna go quail hunting tomorrow, but the day after I'm gonna create a masterpiece, or I'm gonna write like an awesome stand-up comedy routine, or I'm gonna write a great song, or what. And when you talk to them, comedians, visual artists, singers, whatever. I mean, you know who Kenny G is, right?
Of course.
That dude. You know how much that guy practices?
Oh, I mean,
It's insane.
It has to be a master.
It's insane. Always working on it. If you listen to Rogan, he's always talking about
Every day.
I
I'm
do
a big
this,
Rogan fan.
and then I do the sauna silently, and I come up with ideas, and then I go sit down and I write, and I do this, and it's not. Before we started shooting, we were talking about how I think a lot of people think like their big break is just going to find them in life, you know, and I've never found that to be true. And I played a lot of sports too, and you can be awesome. But if you're not going to go out there and be assertive about it, that's a quality a lot of people are looking for.
Discipline.
Yeah. So when did discipline kind of was that getting that F in that class by not showing up? Was that kind of
probably
the
a big
beginning
moment?
Of your,
I think, you know, being an athlete, you know, creates discipline in your life. You know, especially if you're playing certain sports or you're playing select team and stuff, you have to have a lot of discipline to go in and, you know, work out and work hard, and you're doing school. I think that was kind of ingrained in me. I mean, from a young age. But it's really something that stuck with me through school. But I had moments where I felt like, oh, woe me, you know, I'm working and going to school and doing all this stuff. I'm just not going to show up. So I've learned a few big lessons there. But I think that, like, my generation, and I've talked with, like, fellow peers, you know, we grew up, you're told, you know, you go to school, you go to college, you're going to have a great job. It's just not the reality.
Yeah, that's the lie.
That's the lie.
Yep.
And no one's really happy at the end of the day. You know, you go through this system that tells you that, okay, you go through, you do all these steps, and you're going to have the American dream, right? You're going to get out, have a house, have a family, have an amazing job, you know, but that's just not reality anymore. And it's something that I talk a lot on, is going back to what you're passionate about and creating a business. Like, I actually teach other artists now. I teach business courses to artists because I feel like there is so much opportunity to start your own thing and have no bar on what you can make doing what you love, and that there's another avenue. There's another avenue for people, and it doesn't matter if you're creative. Like I always say, if whatever you're into, you like making salsa, like what do you like doing? It could be the weirdest little thing, like you like making gum, or you like whatever. The way my brain works is that there's a market for you somewhere, and I'm able to navigate, okay, who would that market be? Who are you going to get in front of? Who could you collaborate with? Da, 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 da. Like my brain works like that. And so I just feel like a lot of people are afraid to take the risk, but that if they did, like there is an avenue where they could be, if disciplined, you know, and not afraid to jump out there. Because I always say you can always fall back in one of these jobs. They're always going to be there. You know, you're unhappy already. Right. Why not take the risk and see what could happen? But I mean, so going back, I'll kind of jump around, but I got really big into Gary Vee.
Hell yeah, everything's content. Go Jets.
Gary Vaynerchuk. No, I got really into Alan Watts. I was listening to Alan Watts all the time, just about like what makes you tick, and then what, you know, connecting with what it is inside of you that gets you excited.
What's your why? That's right.
What's your why? Watts. So I always start off when I teach the class, I start off with Alan Watts, If Money Were No Object.
Yeah.
It's one of the best 3-minute clips. It says, it's all wretch and no vomit. You never get there. Like he talks about the system.
Fire that off.
It's so good. If you can find it, it's 3 minutes long. I listen to it probably once a month. I'll play it in a morning just to fire me up again, because it talks about we're put in a system, and you do it to your kids, and then you do it to their kids, and it never gets there. You never reach the peak of fulfillment. You never reach happiness. You never really follow your passion. So it's like recreating a new system or a new way of going about.
What makes it?
It's so good.
Damn Wi-Fi, I swear. I'm going to go
Love
get
his
your
voice.
guns out of your truck and
I
shit.
live
What
out.
sort of a situation
You like the hay?
would you like? Let's suppose, I do this often in vocational guidance of students. They come to me and say, well, we're getting out of college and we haven't the faintest idea what we want to do. So I always ask the question, what would you like to do if money were no object? How would you really enjoy spending your life? Well, it's so amazing. As a result of our kind of educational system, crowds of students say, well, we'd like to be painters, we'd like to be poets, we'd like to be writers, but as everybody knows, you can't earn any money that way. Or another person says, well, I'd like to live an out-of-doors life and ride horses. I say, do you want to teach in a riding school? Let's go through with it. What do you want to do? When we finally got down to something which the individual says he really wants to do, I will say to him, you do that. And forget the money. Because if you say that getting the money is the most important thing, you will spend your life completely wasting your time. You'll be doing things you don't like doing in order to go on living, that is, to go on doing things you don't like doing, which is stupid. Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way. And after all, if you do really like what you're doing, it doesn't matter what it is, you can eventually turn it, you could eventually become a master of it. It's the only way to become a master of something, to be really with it. And then you'll be able to get a good fee for whatever it is. So don't worry too much. Somebody's interested in everything.
Yeah.
And anything you can be interested in, you'll find others will. But it's absolutely stupid to spend your time doing things you don't like in order to go on spending things you don't like, and doing things you don't like, and to teach your children to follow in the same track. See, what we're doing is we're bringing up children and educating to live the same sort of lives we're living, in order that they may justify themselves and find satisfaction in life by bringing up their children, to bring up their children to do the same thing, so it's all retch and no vomit. It never gets there.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's true.
It's true.
And so, therefore, it's so
a short little
important
video,
to
yeah.
consider this question. What do I desire?
So, I mean, it's so on point.
Yeah.
Like that little clip of him saying that, and I mean, that's old. You know, that goes back, I don't know how long. But that's awesome.
Not my forte, but
that's
I had
awesome.
to.
That's funny,
awesome.
bro.
Give it a shot.
That's very funny.
That's funny.
That can be your new
Yeah,
promo.
that's right.
So
I
Alan
will.
Watts.
Yeah, I'll
Alan
be
Watts by
Santa
it.
with Alan Watts. There you go. I love it. No, but that's something that, you know, when I got into just listening to different people and doing different readings, I got into Gary Vee, listening to Alan Watts, you know, and these are people that are pretty well known. I mean, it did switch my thinking. You know, it really is like, but, you know, a lot of people are like afraid to fully jump out there, you know, just to quit. It's not like saying quit everything you're doing right now and go start a new business. I mean, slowly get into it, you know? So when I talk to some peers, like I have a dear friend that we were just talking yesterday, you know, it's like, what do you love doing? We'll slowly start doing that on the side in the evenings, on the weekends, to where then you can build that and then get rid of the other, you know, and just see what you can do with it. And so my brain's always worked like that. I think I've always been a salesman.
Yeah.
And so it kind of worked out for being passionate about doing art. And even though I made really weird art, I felt I could sell it to
But you're an introvert though. Like, I mean,
Sometimes.
if you,
Yeah, big time.
It's very interesting how that works.
Mhm.
I am too.
Mhm.
I'm just like, nah, I'm not leaving the house all weekend. Have a good one. Or I'll just go to the lake by myself or whatever. I can't be around people right now.
I've done a lot of trips on my own. I've done, I'll stay home. I mean, I now live down at the farm. I'm in Llano, Texas now. But I'll stay there. I won't leave the house for 4 days. And I'm completely fine with that. I love it.
That's awesome.
I'm good if I don't have to see people for a while.
Yeah.
Because my job pulls a lot. I think that I'm always having to be on creatively. And so it pulls a lot of energy.
When you wake up in the morning and you don't feel super creative that day and you know, like, I got to be ready to roll today, are you drilling a full calorie Mountain Dew like your mask buddy on the plane?
I pop a Provigil.
I don't even know what that is.
No, Joe Rogan talks about it. Modafinil. It's a Provigil. It's It's a neurodrug.
like a nootropic.
It's what us hairline kings take to help. with the
Really?
hairline, but also, yeah.
What's Hairline Kings?
A guy losing his hair.
Really? There it is, Provigil.
I didn't know this was a thing.
Where
do you get that at?
I don't take it daily. So it is. You can be prescribed for work shift disorder.
Interesting.
So what's interesting about it is that, like surgeons and pilots, people who have to work really long shifts or have to be super focused or on, it's a neurodrug that it's for narcolepsy.
Okay.
What
I've
it
never
does,
heard. I'm like a Rogan P1. I've never heard him talk
so
about
he's
that.
talked about, if you look up Rogan Provigil, he'll talk about it. I mean, I think he took it for a while, and then it's part of like the Onnit. You know, they kind of went through.
Yeah.
But it's different because the Onnits.
Yeah. Does Aubrey make it out of plants or something? Yeah. Does he pray over it?
Probably.
Yeah. Put some sage. Burn some sage over before he mails it to you. Yeah.
Is it really that you just get like
oh my God. Yeah. Jamie, you've perhaps participated in some.
I've taken it twice, but I've done Provigil now twice. Not the same in any way, shape, or form.
No, Provigil is. I have done Provigil, and I've done Nuvigil too. Nuvigil's it's a drug that now. This is, I might be wrong about this, so we might have to Google this. I believe it was created as a performance-enhancing drug, but then they said, well, you can't just sell it as a performance-enhancing drug, as a cognitive enhancer. And I do believe it has some cognitive boosting, like proven.
So you have to get it
cognitive
prescribed?
boosting functions.
It's like,
but I think they decided to sell it as a narcolepsy drug.
Limitless.
Yes.
When they found out that it keeps people
Really?
awake.
So there's a lot of articles based
does it
on
make your
about
eyes bluer?
entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
There's articles where it talks
How
about
am I
is
only
this-
learning
is
about this right
cheating
now?
Or entrepreneurs cheating by
Fuck
taking.
that.
I'll get like 5 days of work done in like.
No, I
3
need
hours.
this stuff.
I don't know if you do. I'm a little nervous.
I do.
I think you have enough energy.
I do. It's because it's podcast day. That's how
You would need it.
My week goes. That's how
You
my
would
week
need it.
goes. My
you
week
just take
goes.
a little bit the morning of podcast, and you
Podcast
are so. What I'll tell you is it's non-addictive, because I don't take.
But I'm not gonna like
pharmaceuticals.
creep people out with like
Am I
people.
creeping you out because I'm on it?
No, but when people take Adderall and they're not supposed to,
Yeah, the
and they're
Adderall-
just like dialed in on
I
you.
think it's pretty similar.
It's like they.
But it's not.
It's like they took
not.
long release cocaine.
Yeah, Provigil.
It's
you
not
don't-
as euphoric.
You don't have the feelings of Adderall or the crash or the weird, crazy feelings that you would have from that. And I mean, I take it very lightly, not very often, but on days like, so I traveled in yesterday morning. I had meetings all day yesterday, an event that I had to do, the dinner this morning. I had 2 meetings and then this, and I'll be driving. So it's like on days like that where I need to be focused. So what it does is what they say it does is it kind of goes in and shuts down the part of the brain that tells you that you're tired.
Yeah.
And it turns on like the neurons. You may have to Google this, but it just, all your connectors are firing. Okay.
legit.
And you are so focused and you don't feel jittery at all ever. You still sleep. You don't feel
Take that with some of that
feeling
feel
of
free I
energy.
gave you,
Yeah,
and you're
it's,
just gonna be like, what's up?
I was introduced to it from a friend years ago, and you can buy it in Mexico.
Really?
So I load up about twice a year.
That's awesome.
But I've told a lot of people about it.
Yeah.
And surgeons and pilots, so say there's an emergency surgery, a lot of surgeons take it because if they have to pop up and be on for a 9-hour surgery, non-addictive. I talk to different doctors. It doesn't race your heart. It doesn't hurt my blood pressure. So it was something I was interested in. Again, I don't like taking pharmaceuticals or being on a bunch of things, but it's certain days it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I find it interesting, and I did a lot of research on it before trying it just to make sure it wouldn't be harmful. It's been around a long time. It's not like the vax.
That's that sounds very interesting. I'm gonna have to do some Reddit research on it myself. I think, yeah, that's where I get all my science facts.
There you go, science
is off of
Trust the
Reddit and
science.
subreddits.
Reddit,
Yes, 100%. You're, I know you're busy and you're always running around doing stuff in other states and cities and all of that. Your proclivity to collaborate
Yes.
A lot of, I think, artists, no matter what medium they're in, collaboration is not necessarily high on their list. You know who Louis C.K. is.
Oh, yeah.
And he
awesome. Likes to collaborate.
He does, but he's kind of old school, right? He's don't give any content away. He has everything behind a paywall on his website. And then you talk to other guys like this new comedian I'm really into, Sam Morrill. He's hilarious. More collaborative, more of a bootstrapper, younger, and just like I'm giving it away on YouTube because I have no audience. And if I give it away there, it'll go viral. Then I have a shot. Right. What started you on this collaboration path that's helped you build what you've built so far? Because that's a huge Rogan thing. He made that cool. He made bringing people on, flying them in, putting them, showcasing them, learning about them. He made that a thing. And that's why his podcast is the OG, because it was about other people. He wanted to learn about other people. Yeah.
I think that I've always loved collaborating with people or being around.
Thing.
It's a team effort. And I think that is something I've always said that I miss.
Yeah.
So after sports, I always miss that team thing. And especially starting your own business. I mean, you're by yourself all the time, and it's on you. You know, at the end of the day, it's on you. I think the collaborations really started to happen is that whenever I started my company, so I was doing my own art and kind of selling my own work, but whenever I started my company, it was more commercial based. And so I was actually doing art for like office buildings and banks and wherever. And I was really selling reproductions. So it was more of a sales gig, like my product is art, but it's not original art. So I would work with their budget and go in and just do more decorative
How do you
art
track down a
pieces.
deal like that? You just know someone's building something or moving into a building?
Talk about discipline. Okay.
Because following up, especially young people, they don't get it, man. I mean, I have a whole sales staff, and it's, hey, did you reach out to that client? Yeah, I called. They didn't answer. I'm like,
fortune's in the follow-up.
Cool story, bro. Yeah, the FU money is in the follow-up.
Yeah.
Did you text, email, slide dial, voicemail their ass?
Yeah.
No, I just don't think they're interested. I'm like, they don't know they're interested because they haven't met you yet.
Right.
What's your follow-up process
okay,
like?
so here's the deal. The reason why people most of the time are not successful is because they won't go after it. They give up. It's hard. It's too hard. It's difficult. It's uncomfortable, and it's a lot of work up front. Okay, so when I started my business, whenever I got out of college, I was working at an ad agency, entering in it was RV dealership, car dealerships, and I was doing like demographics and picking points for media, like afternoon media in different markets. Like it was all numbers on like this old computer. It was like
sounds
little green
exciting.
number. Oh,
Yeah.
It's so creative. And I remember just walking around the office, and it was like gray cubicles, and I would look over at everyone, and everyone's face was so miserable. I just remember like the most exciting thing of the day was getting to go to like Taco Bueno for lunch.
Yeah.
It was really sad.
Yeah.
Or going outside to have like a smoke break.
Right.
Yeah. I was like, this cannot be my life. So that actually, whenever I graduated, I wanted to do something creative. I was bartending and, paying my way, working at an ad agency. I was bartending. I was doing kind of other jobs, selling my work. I would do pop-ups. And then I actually interviewed I found a listing on Craigslist for an art consultant, and I had no idea what that was. I mean, I was looking for jobs in galleries or doing set design or something. So I interviewed with this company. They were a new company. It was a husband and wife that had been in business for like 3 years. And they hired me to be an art consultant. And the job turned out to be a sales gig. And I was given a CO list, which you know about these, for every city for a commercial. I would get a CO list. It would either have an email, a name, a phone number, the company name, long list I would print out. They gave me a tape recorder, and I had to cold call.
Hell yeah.
Every morning starting at 7:30.
Let's go.
Cold call that list, research, find the number, find the person, get to the decision maker, and I also had to record my phone calls.
Yeah.
So let me tell you how fast I stayed there. No, I remember that they would listen to my cold calls that I recorded, and I got called into the office one day, and it was like, we would like you to say on the phone call that it really sounds like we have synergy. Maybe we could meet.
No. Oh my God. I would hang up
if I
on
ever
you
hear
right
center,
away.
I just want to tell you that. So I told them, I said, first of all, I'm very uncomfortable because I don't speak that way. I sound like a robot. I'm not going to cold call someone and say we have synergy. And I ended up quitting that job, and I kind of had it out with the person, the owner. And I actually used that recorder and recorded the phone call. And I'd never quit a job like this, but I went in and got all my shit and left the recorder on their desk.
With the recorded
phone call of that.
That's a pretty rad move.
But before that, I had made a plan that if they were successful at what they were doing, and they had been in other industries before, and I was like, man, if they are doing this, I can do this.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd only been there 3 months. I left the weekend before. I had gone online and like looked up words that had art in them.
Yeah.
And came up with the company name Articulation Art.
Yeah, it's badass.
I always make a joke that I'm not very articulate, and it's called Articulation Art. It's kind of a joke. And I ordered business cards that weekend. I bought the website domain, and I came up with a fake PowerPoint presentation where I superimposed art on empty office wall buildings and put together a presentation and set up vendor meetings with every architect and design firm in Dallas-Fort Worth.
That's awesome.
That was how I started. I had never done a project.
Just a little bit of action then.
A little bit of action, no overhead. So I talk a lot about having low overhead. You know, people ask me, where's your office? At my kitchen table.
Yeah.
I have no office, no warehouse. Everything I do is direct to client. You know, I'm working on their projects. So I've kept low overhead over the years. But I went out, I tell this story because I was nervous. I was scared. I had never done a project. I had never done huge, meetings in front of people that were really experienced. And I mean, there were days where I would no-show the meeting. There were days I wore all black every time I would go because I would be like sweating so bad. I mean, there were times where I threw up, like in the bathroom. I was so nervous.
Right.
I would sit in the parking lot, like sweating, like, what am I doing? And I remember
That's what Crown Royal's for, man.
I probably should have had a little flask in the car. And I was working at a restaurant and I was bartending at night. But during the day, I would set up. I have a handwritten calendar, and I always say I have to have a handwritten one. The phone thing, the digital stuff doesn't work for me.
I do the same exact.
I have to write everything down.
Yeah.
I have saved for 15 years every year.
Have you?
My schedule in my calendar, and I go back and look through it.
Is it like one day is one page on yours?
Mine is like a 3-day. It's like I have to have a lot of space to write. So it's like 3-day, and then it has a long list on one side.
Yeah.
I'm particular about it. I can't have the little.
I'm very particular too. Mine is 1 day, 1 page.
Okay.
So
good.
one year I weighed mine because I was so I went in to the year, I weighed it, and it weighed like 1.5 pounds more at the end of the year from all the ink.
Yeah.
You know, I would always take it in, write stuff down when I was with a client.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm with a client, I'm texting other people, telling them I'm making notes about your project. No, I'm just kidding. That's awesome. So you have a stack of them?
I have a stack of them. And I went back to look that first year. I started, it was Labor Day weekend. So I always say about September. Early September is my anniversary. And I was doing two a day normally. So I would do like a breakfast meeting and then an afternoon meeting. And I remember one time I'd set up a vendor meeting and had my little computer and my business cards, and I show up, and the receptionist, she's like calling the lady, and the lady acts like she doesn't remember or know what's going on. And I was like, I was just like, oh my God, what am I doing?
Right.
And then all of a sudden the receptionist was like, okay, if you want to go set up in the conference room, everyone will be in there soon. And I'm like,
Everyone?
Everyone?
Right.
Oh my God. And so I got my present. I mean, I was so nervous. Like I had to connect to their system for the projector and then like got out my business card. I mean, I'm pouring sweat. I'm sick. Like I like really wanted to throw up. Okay. And everyone started just filing in. There was like 20 architects at this office. Okay. And I am just like.
Trial by fire.
I mean, hey, I was in there. I handed everyone a card, you know. And I do my little presentation with like my fake project. And one guy during the meeting goes, "How old are you?" I go, "Old enough."
Really? That's
yeah.
funny.
And he's like, "How long have you been doing this?" And I was like, "Well, you know, I'm an artist and I worked for another business, but I've gone on my own. I can help, you know, facilitate any project." And I'll never forget that guy that had asked that at the end of the meeting came up and he handed me a Post-it note. He said, "Call these people." He's like, "It's a bank in Frisco. They're looking for art.
Really?
It's one of our clients." So I called. It was my first project.
Okay, awesome.
5 pieces of art for this bank. Right. And it was like cool old photography that I pulled from the historical. Yeah. We framed really big. And I had to Google how to install and secure art on the wall. And I had a Scion XB for 10 years. Okay. Right. The little box car. Yeah. Because it would fit giant pieces of art in the back. It had great gas mileage. I ran that thing for 10 years. Everyone made fun of me. I was like, I don't have a car payment, and this thing gets the art around town.
No doubt. What was the construction piece like for you? You're Googling, like, what are you, YouTubing? Like, I don't know, how to hammer drill a CMU wall or...
It was all of that, and leaving and going to the hardware store and figuring it out
so
as
we're talking
it would
about
go along.
Serious DIY.
Serious DIY. And it was funny because the guy who I got to help me install, he's still my head installer. I had worked with him in another job.
Okay.
And we had all the art in the Scion. Like, I picked him up. We're like both in there. It's like over our head. For 5 pieces, I think it took us 8 hours to install. He now can install 5 pieces in 15 minutes. We've learned a lot over the years.
Power tools go a long way. Yeah.
But I'll tell you, that first few months, I mean, I hit the pavement. I mean, I was just doing vendor meeting after vendor meeting after vendor meeting. I would research every architect and design firm because the way I thought about it, the last business that I worked for, they wanted to call the client directly.
Right.
And I'm thinking,
no.
But wait, the designers and the architects already have the project. And that I tried to say that to them, and they're like, no, because they're going to take a cut. And I was like, well, at this point, I didn't care.
Yeah.
So I did a kickback. I was like, so then I got smart. I was like, well, y'all probably already are working with, you know, another art curator, but if you would, you know, throw me a small job, I'll give you a 10% kickback on the deal. Like, I started doing stuff like that to just give me a shot. Yep. I was like, give me a chance. Maybe we'll work well together. And I mean, and now when I teach class, it's like, you just think of it as planting seeds. You're a farmer, you're planting seeds. Don't think you're getting a job that day. Don't think that anything's going to turn around that day. It's not coming yet. You're just introducing and telling everyone what you do. You just share what you do with everyone and make it easy. People get nervous, like an elevator pitch or whatever.
Did. Yeah.
Oh, I was throwing up actually.
Right.
You know, I was nervous. But if you ease into it with, hey, this is what I do.
That's what most people are afraid of, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I talk to people and they're like, well, what's that job opening you have? And I'm like, well, it's sales. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, I can't do sales.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, see, you're wrong. Mm-hmm. We're all in sales.
Yep.
If you can't do it or you don't like it, means you're doing a really bad
job
doing
it wrong.
Of it. You don't have to be a used car salesman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But...
but
that fear didn't stop you. So if you're getting like physically sick and then you're still
sick.
You're like the bell rings and you're still stepping in the ring every day. There's something to be said about that.
There was something about I kind of had this like.
Are you a little crazy?
Mate, probably.
Yeah.
I was like
Welcome
I was a little like I'll show you.
Hell yeah.
That I do have that in me. Like I was told, you know, the company I was working for, other people, you know, I'm starting my own business. I mean, even the guy I was dating at that time that I was like, hey, introduce me to those guys that are opening that restaurant. He laughed. You know, like, they're not going to hire you. Well, motherfucker, you just wait. Because they are going to hire me. And guess what? 3 years later, they did. Without, I mean, there was all these things.
The chip on the shoulder is a very powerful
I think it gave me a
motivator.
lot of fire.
Yeah.
I always feel like I have kind of this, like,
underdog.
fire burning, like, but not in a way it's more, I think it just gives me that kind of passion, not like I'll show you and like rub it in your face. It's more of like proving it to myself.
Yeah.
Like, I can definitely do that.
Well,
type of mentality.
The answers that we're really looking for are the answers that we ask ourselves. A lot of people don't realize that. Do you know who the author Cormac McCarthy is? All the Pretty Horses and The Road. It's one of his best books. Yeah.
They made that into a movie.
They did with Vigo. Yeah. Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
In that book, he's my favorite fiction writer probably. And in that book he uses the term carry the fire like 7 or 8 times. The dad is saying to the son, you have to carry the fire.
Yeah.
I say that to people and they often just don't even really understand what I'm saying. But I talk to so many people. I'm out meeting people all the time too. That's part of what this podcast is about as well. Networking, meeting other people who are fearless and live that DIY lifestyle. You know, you talk to someone and they're just like, man, I'm just not really fired up about life. And you're like, well, ultimately that's on you.
Right. You have to find what it is in you that gets you excited. And that is in trying new things.
Yeah.
You know, I think people are afraid to kind of explore new things or try new things or travel to different places. I mean, there are so many times in my life where I took a certain trip or I tried something new and it completely opened up a whole new part of my business and my life. Like it completely was kind of like a pivotal moment, you know?
Like the
what is it, like the green
thing.
light?
Yeah.
Matthew McConaughey's book, it was a green light moment or whatever, you know? I think, and people don't, you know, people kind of stay in a
green
lane,
light? Yeah.
You know, people kind of stay in a comfort zone. But when I see that, and I feel like so many people are just not fulfilled, you know, and they're not living a passionate life or get excited about certain things, or, you know, it's definitely the harder path. And I think people are choosing not to take the harder path a lot.
No doubt.
More, you know, it's easy to be.
I have a question.
TV and
fire off.
food. Go ahead.
Also, I want to test this. Can you see me?
Yes.
You're like Morgan Freeman is like
he
God
is.
above us or
I know,
something.
Yeah, it's so awesome up high like that.
Trying to make it less weird, but
it's a little disturbing that the sound is coming out of the ceiling, but I for real dig that improvement.
Yeah, I think it
nice work, studio engineer.
Thank you. So about the art world, like, how do you feel about like traditional curatorial positions in museums, galleries, etc.? Because my best friend just got their master's in art history, and you know, looking at curator positions, and it's tough out there. And what alternatives are there? You touched on it with your business.
Definitely. And I kind of went off topic about collaboration, but I think really quick on collaboration is that I was doing so much of the work and that my personal style doesn't fit. It's a very like niche market, like it doesn't fit every project. And so I really was thinking, I mean, it's very physical, it's time consuming, me doing the business side of it and producing, that I started to realize, wow, I can really expand my business by offering every style of art, every type of art, by bringing in other artists. And I'm still making money, and then I'm giving opportunity to artists where they wouldn't have it, and then we are able to collaborate. And the way my brain works is like I have a ton of ideas of creative, crazy things that I can't personally do, but other people can. And so that's kind of how my business runs, is I come up with a whole creative deck for my clients that are really kind of my ideas, and then I bring in the artists that can facilitate that are their style. So they're still getting to do what they love to do, and it's still theirs, but it's kind of in that same wheelhouse. And then it was more of like brokering the deals now and managing. So it's really, I still get to do the creative, but I'm brokering, and then I'm project managing artists and giving them opportunity. And we kind of laugh because one time one of my clients asked me, so like, he was asking about a curator, like, what are you? Like, what do you call yourself? And I said, I'm an art madam. It kind of works.
Yeah, it does.
It kind of works.
You have a little black book
madam.
and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, it's like,
you're out of control.
You know,
yes.
It's kind of cool.
No doubt.
It's a fun way to say it because I feel like curator's used so much. It's like that's another word, like synergy. If I didn't have to say curator again,
curated and bespoke.
I feel like
yeah, very overused. How many times can I see bespoke, custom, or custom curated on the internet before I'm like, bullshit? That's made in Afghanistan. Get the fuck out of here.
With libations. Do you use that?
Yeah. God.
I hope you don't use it. Sorry.
No, just talk in just normal American.
Yeah,
just mark it to me at a 4th grade level, and I'll buy from you. These sneakers will make you taller and faster. You have my $100.
There you go.
That's all you had to say.
Easy.
But the cure, like Sohail said though, the art world you can't get a job as a curator.
It's very hard. So I do feel like
wouldn't they ask you for? Do you have any experience?
I am kind of the guy with the trench coat, selling art. You know, I didn't go through the traditional. I feel like I tell people like I just went around that, like,
and did your own.
And why not? I mean, I didn't feel like I needed to take this stuff. You know, so many are like
because you're turning these hotels and stuff into their own museums,
right? And creating programs where we're creating museums inside of headquarters. I mean, really cool things that.
Can we take a look at that?
Okay, so I do have a really cool video. If you Google, it's called "Keeping Corporate Cool." It's Nation Star Mortgage. It's Mr. Cooper Mortgage. There's a really cool video that we did.
Well, he looks for that. So when you wrote your first contract on your first deal, did you know how to write a contract?
No. And actually, I just hired a lawyer in the last couple years that writes my contracts.
Right.
I actually went on Rocket Lawyer and used just a standardized one.
Yeah,
I've really just.
Were you writing them on AIA?
I've been learning to go.
Have you been ripped off? Have you ever put together something for someone and they're like, show me where in writing I owe you anything. Have a great day. See you in court.
I have actually.
Yeah.
And
that's a blast, right?
No, I had a huge. It's amazing.
You want to file a lien on their property? You want to
shoot
me a DM?
Okay, yeah.
I got your back.
It happened one time. A huge design firm here hired me to come in and save the day. They had messed something up.
Oh yes, the last minute. Right, last minute.
And I came in and I'm the one that's going to come in and do everything I can to make it right. And that is something that I stand by. And if something goes wrong on a project, I take care of it immediately. I own up to it. Let's figure it out. Well, I came in to save the day for them, and they were a huge design firm. I mean, big time. And
so what, they hired somebody else and that other person fell down on the job?
One of their designers messed up. They brought me in to help, facilitate it. I did it. They didn't have a huge budget, but it was a lot of money for me at the time. And they provided the wrong measurements, even in an approval email, make it exactly this.
Right.
I made it exactly that, had it rushed. Well, it didn't fit. It was a huge chef. It was a massive project for me to be on this name of this project. So then the designer throws me under the bus to the chef in a group email saying that it's my fault. They're not going to pay me out. So then I rebuttal that I have the information. You told me this is the measurements. Right. This is not our mess up. They withheld funding. Then they threatened me. I mean, there was a threatening email. This was so amazing because they were big dog and I was not. And they wrote an email that said, if you contact the client again, there will be a difficulty will arise for you. Mm. So I responded and CC'd everyone and the client. And I said, if you don't pay me, difficulty will arise for you. Who do you think you are? Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, but that's a lot of money to me. And I just killed myself to help you out. Yeah. And it is y'all's mess up. And you are not going to put me on blast and think that I'm going to
good for you.
Run away. So I went and filed against them. A police officer showed up and served them, and I got a check the next day.
What?
Thank
for
you
theft of services?
Very much.
Theft of services?
Yeah. I think I was able to claim it because I think it was just a small claims against. I don't remember.
Good for you.
To be honest, but I went up. I filed it. I didn't know what I was. I mean, I was by myself. Yeah. I went up and figured out what I neted to do. It was under $10,000, but It was still a few $1,000s.
like small claims?
Small claims.
Oh, good for you.
It was still under 10,000, but to me at that time, I was still young in the business. That was a lot of money.
I'm sorry, but if you owe me $5,
yes,
and we agreed, and I did what I was supposed to do, and you don't pay me, I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
So have a great day, and maybe it'll end up in a hug, but I doubt it.
Yeah, and
good for you.
What's
That's crazy?
Awesome. What's crazy? It comes really, really full circle because then years later, probably 2 years ago, they were fired from a project and I landed it. And it was one of my biggest clients ever. Those moments happen when you do the right, you stand up for yourself in a professional way. I mean, I did, it the right way and did the work and stood up for myself. I mean, those are the moments like you talk about being young or going after it. I mean, people would try and push you around and make you feel like you don't have a say.
Gaslight you. It's your fault. When you have it in writing, you're like, no.
Right.
You know who Rob Dyrdek is? Obviously.
Yes.
Robin Big.
Mm-hmm.
You ever heard of the podcast called The Skinny Confidential?
I
His
have.
and hers.
Mm-hmm.
He was just on there. He's an amazing guy.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'll have to
I don't know if I could do what he does when it comes to like how he manages his time.
Mm-hmm.
I like to go with the flow here and there a little bit more. I mean, this dude, I'm talking
very regimented.
It's out of control.
Yeah.
Like it's OCD.
Okay.
It's disturbing,
Mm-hmm.
but awesome. Billions, great.
Mm-hmm.
Good job. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But he said in this podcast, I'll send it to you. Quit always starting over.
Mm-hmm.
So he started his thing and he just started building and building and building. And when you want to quit and go off in this other direction, how about if you just incorporate that other direction into what you're building and you just stop starting over?
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people, a lot of people in business are like, well, I need to know what this is going to be. I need to know every income or revenue stream that it could be before I'll even take the leap. And then 10 years go by and your coffee shop idea is still a great idea, but
10 other people have done it.
And they say, I love you at the end when they give you your coffee. What's this place in Richardson? They keep talking about it. This some new coffee place.
Oh, I don't know about
They
it.
tell you you should go. It's right over there. They tell you love you when they give you
That's sweet.
Sure. Yeah,
It's
great.
just really good coffee.
Is it good coffee or it makes you feel good?
I don't know. I'm not really a coffee
They're
guy.
one of those places that they'll like make a point to notice something about you.
Yeah, they compliment you.
But does it feel weird, like it's forced?
Yeah, for sure. It's
Maybe
just
it's
good
kinda
coffee.
kitschy.
At,
Yeah, I'm not saying that.
Same price as Starbucks, so it's
Okay.
better quality.
I don't cotton.
But also, I don't like all that, or I thought so. But then when you get someone doing that to you, you're like, okay,
it grows on you, and when people compliment
I
you
kind of
out
like
of the blue.
the idea that it's like a positive affirmation. But if it feels cheesy to me, when things feel corny, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I'll kind of feel like y'all are faking it, so it's not that
I don't
exciting.
take compliments from my own mom, so I'm not taking compliments from some coffee serving person. You know
I
what
would
I'm saying?
rather, like, I always loved Dick's Last Resort. Do you know that restaurant?
Dick's is great. Yeah.
I loved it because that's fun.
Yeah,
like,
that
I would
is.
rather go someplace like that than
I
where they
agree.
just
The
surprise you with.
I think the stop starting over thing though applies to you because you're out there, you're trying stuff. You don't even know how to write a lot of people will say that to me. I want to start my own construction. I don't even know how to write a contract. I'm like, bro, YouTube. I didn't even have YouTube in like 96 when I started doing stuff. I was making calls from payphones. No lie.
It's awesome.
So you can't tell me that now that you have YouTube and a supercomputer, you can't make something happen. And social media, come on.
I mean, nowadays you can start a business using your phone and social media, no overhead, and go for it. Like, I mean, it's so easy.
And that's a lot of what you're teaching these artists.
Yes.
Because is that maybe one of the biggest weak points when it comes to an artist who wants to start monetizing what they like doing? They just have no idea where to start.
I think they don't have an idea where to start, and it's just like start. If you don't know, you can figure it out along the way. It's kind of like always just take the step and the staircase will be built. It'll appear, right? You just kind of have to take a leap of faith and those things kind of fall in place, or maybe you mess up a little bit. Who cares? You're going to learn from that. Like, it was kind of a...
Have you messed up at stuff where you're like, yeah, but I'm going to try it again?
Yeah, I think I've messed up a lot over the years.
Yeah, I mean, again, welcome to the club.
But I mean, so do other people that are professionals at what they do. I mean, it's just kind of like life.
How about if somebody tells you, nah, It's all been a grand slam home runs, bro. 100%.
They're lying.
Every time I touch it, it turns to gold. Because a lot of these guru motherfuckers do. Yeah. And I'll just be like, no, I don't believe you, man.
Yeah.
I'm not buying it.
I think everyone has mistakes or like learning curves, I guess. But I think the biggest thing is people are they're more concerned with what other people are thinking of them. You know?
What's up with that?
I don't know. Those people are miserable too.
Because don't you get lost in that when you're like, well, if you're going around people pleasing, then at the end of the day, I go lay my head to the pillow and I'm just like, boy,
yeah,
I'm not getting that day back. And I spent that whole day
worried about what whoever thought. Yeah, I think
I'm not saying walking around being a dick.
No, not at all. I think that it's more so just that shouldn't even be a concern. Like, those people are miserable, and if they're really that concerned about what you're doing, they don't have a lot going on.
I think that's I think you probably got there faster than a lot of people, because a lot of people, you're creating things and they're immediately telling you that sucks, or they're drawing flies on it. Like if you're in business and you're like trying to start a coffee shop, maybe the balance sheet tells you that sucks, but like people don't go out of their way to tell you like, that creamer and that coffee, they both suck, which means you suck, which means you shouldn't do this job. And when you're making art, they'll be like, or I put something on YouTube and they'll be like, this is bullshit. Your delivery sucks. Or this one time I got all beat up doing sparring. It was all cut up. And it was like, what's Scarface got to say today? And I'm like, that's the most creative shit I've ever heard.
It's awesome.
So I get a little bit of that, but no, I don't think it's as personal as when you make art and then people are like, that's the worst thing on the wall. Like they said to you in college.
I still, we do projects where people, you know, we'll talk shit on it. You know, it's part of it. There's just going to be miserable people that are unhappy and want to have some. I bet they are like number one on Yelp. That's what I always say. Yeah. Like, I just want to give out, like, you're the number one Yelper. Like, if you're on Yelp, we're probably not hanging out.
Have you seen that Nate Bart? Yeah. Have you seen that?
I am dead serious. Like, but I love the ones that are like amazing. Like, what was it? The comedian, he did they read them out loud.
Was it Nate Bargatze? The one where he talks about the lady and then like the next day her Yelp review or her review views went up like 50,000.
Really?
But she didn't find out till like 4 days later. The reason why is because it was in one of his specials.
Okay, I didn't know.
So he'll say like, so for 4 days, this Karen is just like, I am like the OG reviewer. Everyone comes, they're looking for my review before they're going to this restaurant.
That's awesome.
No, the bad review things, that's an interesting world.
Yeah, I think I just kind of let it roll off. I mean, there's just always going to be miserable people that aren't into what you're doing.
But your mindset, though, is cool because you, like an hour ago, said, but there are going to be all kinds of people into what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so instead of like, well, I don't know, people might not like this, you're more like, a bunch of people are going to think this is rad. And those, by putting this up, those are going to be my people.
Those are your people. And then you just need to focus on those people. Like, you don't need to focus on the people that aren't for you. It's kind of like, there's people that are just always, it doesn't matter what you do, they're just never going to support you or be for you. It doesn't matter. So it's kind of, it is a mind shift. Again, it goes back to like power of thought and being in control of that. Like the second, it's very natural when people talk negative or, you know, talk shit on what you're doing, that you want to kind of focus on that. But you have to be really strong in the thought process is to keep focusing on everything that's positive and staying in that zone.
Well, don't you think
it's hard.
Don't you think part of that was forged into you when you were young and you're playing this basketball at a high level, right? When you take the floor against another team, they aren't cheering for you.
Right.
They aren't laying out the red carpet for you. They're coming at you. You got to go at them.
Right.
Business is very similar. A lot of people are like, well, I just wish that like all my friends, when they hired me, they wouldn't ask me for discounts. And you're just, look.
Don't work with your friends.
Just yeah.
Go after the other clients that aren't your friends.
Yes, just get past that.
Yeah.
And quit making up your own excuses not to get started.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's just this, I don't know what I mean, everyone's kind of different, but it is just this moment of fear and judgment. I think it all goes back to that. Like
when
a
you
fear
were
and
little,
judgment.
do you feel like you got past all that just because, did people put you down for how you were raised or having a single mom or any of that kind of steps? I mean, Texas is definitely the buckle of the Bible Belt.
Yeah.
I mean, when you were young, that was, a few years ago.
I mean, only like 10 years
Were
ago.
they,
Yeah.
were people do it? Because what happens to us when we're young shapes a lot of the way we think when we're older.
I don't feel that way. I don't think I was put down. I mean, no, I was just a little hyper kid. I don't really.
Or maybe they were,
recall
and you just didn't really dial in on that because you had so many
paying
interests.
attention. Maybe it's pretty hyper into a lot of stuff. And yeah,
what's
I don't think
the
there was
most
anything
recent
bad.
thing you've gotten like squirreled off on, super interested in, reading everything you can get your hands on?
Donkeys.
Yeah.
I'm getting donkeys on Friday.
They're rad, man. What do they
So
run? Don't they
excited.
run off coyotes or something? There's
Yes,
some
and
violent
I've got
motherfuckers.
coyotes and we've got rattlesnakes, and I get into a lot of stuff. What am I into? Oh man,
Donkeys are badass.
Yeah,
We can talk
donkeys.
about donkeys.
That was unexpected.
It was.
What have you been into? Donkeys.
I mean, you've thrown some unexpected shit out today, which is legit.
No, what else? Here we go.
Donkeys were traditionally
Look at that. Isn't it
used to protect
amazing?
other livestock.
Yeah, man,
from
they're
wild
violent.
dogs and
Yes.
wolves due
I
to
mean,
their
they're so
no-nonsense
cool.
approach
They're
to
almost
self-defense.
predatorial. Is that a hyena?
And
A hyena.
who
The
kicks.
fuck?
Yeah.
On some
They're
ranches
so
in the
great.
United
Look at this.
States, they
Hell yes.
It's so cool. It's so cool.
My spirit animal is the hippo.
The hippo?
Oh my God,
Nice.
yes. Because a lot of people just think the hippo is a cartoon.
Yeah.
Oh, jolly old hippo.
They are not jolly.
Hippos kill more
Yes.
people every year than sharks do.
Yes,
man.
they are super dangerous. And moose, right? Moose.
Oh yeah. Or is it the moose or the elk?
Moose. I think moose.
Moose are way smaller than people think.
I saw one. I was just in Alaska.
Yeah, I saw.
awesome.
Was that a cool trip?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love the outdoors. I like.
Have you ever
being in
seen the
nature.
Northern Lights?
I didn't see the Northern Lights that
Have
time.
you ever,
it was
though?
very cloudy. No, just in video. But it's amazing.
Yeah, you got to give that a shot.
I need
Let's look
to.
at that video
Okay.
of her work.
Yeah, we'll go back.
I love
It's okay.
animals. I love.
You're good,
Oh,
dude.
Moose gets hit by a
Mooses, but
car. Is
this-
it going to be so bad?
This video.
Oh no.
This
This
Is it going to be bad?
sends me.
I don't
Just
wanna
watch it.
Whoa.
Is it bad? I don't want to.
Not
Did
really.
it destroy the car?
It
I didn't
threw
look.
the moose about 30 feet.
I didn't watch.
Yeah.
But you know when that happens in Alaska that there's a list. So when a moose gets hit by a car, there's actually a list of all the families. They sign up, and my friends that live there, they just got the call. So like the park ranger, whoever, when there's a call, that listed family gets called, and they can go out and
Harvest it?
harvest
Hell
the
yeah.
moose, and it can happen in the middle of the night. So it happened to my friends at 1 a.m. And they actually went and harvested it all night. And so they have a freezer full of
That's what I'm
meat.
talking
It's pretty
about.
cool
Yeah.
that they have that program.
You
So-
said it in Alaska.
in Alaska.
Yeah.
hmm They live in Homer.
So where do I find this video?
So it's
I
right.
see this one.
So go to, if you go up, it's called, maybe go to videos. Down that one that says build. That's it. Yeah. This was really cool. So the mortgage company hired me to come in. They built a brand new headquarters. And I worked for them for about 4 years for all of their different offices. And we curated an art program where artists would come in every month and do installations, murals, interactive pieces. And we did like 160 installations. And it gave so much opportunity to artists here. I got to collaborate with a ton. And I ran that program for 4 or 5 years, 4 years.
That's awesome.
It was pretty amazing. Yep. And we did this video. This was early on, but this kind of gives you a little insight into what we did.
A graffiti street scene right in the middle of a bunch of mortgage executives' offices. I think that's the ultimate signal that we are committed to thinking about things differently. The mortgage industry is an industry that hasn't changed in a long time. It sort of sticks with the status quo. And programs like the Artist in Residence program really make employees feel empowered to challenge the way things work. And ultimately, that results in a better customer experience, which is the goal of our entire transformation.
It was pretty fun.
I bet.
So It was cool, and I have a team like that comes in. They shot all the content, and we'll put these together.
Relationship that started out small and then just
While they were
kept building
there,
on
they saw
itself.
That was from a vendor meeting
Years
that
ago,
I
the
did 4
executive-
years prior.
Really?
And the woman had moved to a new architect firm and had my card and called me. That's how I got that job.
Wow.
From a vendor meeting years before. It was amazing.
Ryan, who you met when we walked in, who owns Harper Belmont, he has events or had them reasonably often at the Virgin.
Cool.
And so when I was there at the first one he had, which was right when COVID was like in full swing, so in the fall.
We opened right.
Yeah. So I traipsed around and took a look at your work. It's pretty awesome.
Thanks.
What how did you
I get
happen
that
upon
gig?
deal? Yeah.
This is a good story. So I heard that they were going to be building the Virgin Hotel, and I was actually brought into a meeting to talk about a mural project over in the design district that had nothing to do with the hotel. And we were at a lunch to talk about the mural project in the design district with part of the ownership for the hotel. And one of the guys was like, hey, you should use her for the hotel, for the art for the hotel. And it was kind of like...
Was Bill in that meeting?
Uh-huh. Bill was in the meeting. And it was kind of like, yeah. Because the way they kind of viewed me was more of like a mural curator, street art type of thing. And I was like, I would love to talk to you about the hotel. And we exchanged information. I just knew there was something. I was like, I just knew that project was supposed to be mine. I mean, it's everything that I'm into. It's funky, it's creative, it's adventurous, it's rock and roll, it's sexy. It's like you can get very eclectic and very fun. So when you say the fortune is in the follow-up, I mean, I followed up. And this is something that I invested my time and energy into. This is something that I don't do for other clients, but I actually put together a massive pitch deck,
concept?
a pitch deck of what I would do if I was the curator for the Virgin. And I spent probably 30 hours on it.
Damn.
It was a full blown, I mean, I don't do that. I get paid up front now to even put together concepts. This was something I just had this feeling like this is supposed to be my project. And I, asked for a meeting, went in, I presented my ideas. I was told kind of this is cute. And we love the ideas, but we've been told by Virgin to meet with these curators from across the country. We have to pretty much select from them. And I was like, well, if there's any other parts of the hotel, if you want to use local artists or one install, I was pretty much just how can I get in and do something with the hotel? And so I kept following up. I could probably go back and say I followed up.
You leaving voicemails?
I wasn't annoying. I don't think maybe I was annoying, but I would just follow up and say, probably I was reaching out once a month. I mean, this went on for a while, for about 6 months. Then they called me back in because they asked me, so I had put together for a portion of the hotel. And then they asked me hey, show us what you would do for the guest rooms. And so I put together another pitch deck. I sent it in. We had a meeting. And they were like, we really like what, you put together here. Let us know, what it would cost. So I was kind of working on it. And we were kind of going back and forth. It was getting ready to be the holidays. I remember I reached out right before the holidays. I was like, hey, I would really love to come just meet you and kind of see where things are, have a meeting in person, and just see if there is any way that I could be a part of the project. So they called me in, and
were you as nervous for that as you were way back when you started?
I was still I would still get nervous a little bit, but I had a little bit more confidence, But you still get nervous.
Sure.
I mean, I still get, a little nervous before I have to give a presentation or come into something.
Man. Yeah.
I still always have that feeling, even today I'm like, oh, I have to go talk about myself. Okay, I got to gear myself up,
Yeah.
But they called me into the meeting, and there were other people in the room this time. There was 5 people in there that were part of the project. And I was sitting there and I was like, they were like, we really love what you've put together, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, so have y'all picked a curate, because this is what I said. Based on what I have pitched to y'all, I would need to know pretty soon if I'm going to be involved because it's going to take a lot of sourcing.
There you go. The classic
this is
takeaway.
I did. I was
Hell
like,
yeah.
I was like, I'm going to need to know pretty soon because I need that time to source,
Yeah.
you know, what I pitched y'all.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, this is what was said to me.
Lead
they go,
time, bro.
oh, we've already selected the curator.
Mm.
And I was sitting there and I just held it cool. I was like, oh, okay. You know, it's kind of, all right. And then I was just kind of sitting there. And then all of a sudden they said, so if you could send your contract over, we decided to go with you.
So they were playing.
And I was like, I sat there and I go, really? I was kind of like shocked. I was like, really? They were like, yeah. They said we actually, we had these 10 curators present to us and none of them came close with the creative that you brought to the table.
Wow.
And we fought to have you, even though you're an underdog. They said, no one knows who you are. So they didn't want to work with you because you're not a named curator that's been on other projects. But we fought for you and I got it. I couldn't believe it. I was actually still kind of shocked. Like I left there. I was like, did that
Who's the
just happen?
first person you told that you got it?
I think I called my best friend. They know, like she knew that I was fighting for it. You know, she knew the ins and out. Like I really share, like sitting in my car, like, oh, the meeting's coming up. Like I'm driving around the block, you know, finding a place to park early, you know, being professional. It was amazing. But I used to tell myself, like, I'd be driving in the car. I would tell myself, like, the Virgin's supposed to be yours. I would, like, say it out loud. I'm like, I just knew. I was like, this is supposed to be my project. It's in Dallas. It's everything I love to do. It's all right up my alley. So it was a crazy experience.
You can't just manifest stuff and think it's going to happen. You have to
I was going after it.
You got to put feet to pavement.
I mean, most people won't spend 30 hours to put together a presentation.
Most people won't follow up more than twice.
Most people won't call and do that second and third call. Most people won't ask for the meeting. Most people won't go in front of intimidating people or people who've been in business a long time, you know, starting out. It's like, I always say you have to ask for it. The worst that can happen is they're going to say no. It's like, okay, and move on. But you never know when they're going to say yes.
Yeah.
You know, and that was a huge moment for my career. I mean, but I've been doing it a long time. I mean, I had been running my own company for 12 years.
Wow.
12 years when I landed that.
Yeah.
You know, but it was time to step it up. I mean, I could handle it. I knew that. But it was one that I really wanted to do. Those don't come along very often.
Sure.
You know, where you're just really into the creative of that. So
do they come along a little more often now?
Yeah,
you've become more established.
I think now it's really evolved.
You can brag. It's cool.
No, well, you know, no, I'm just kidding. I still take on I get calls like, hey, you know, we have a small project. I take it on because I will go back and say when I first started my business, I landed a couple good jobs and then the recession hit because I started in 2007. Mm-hmm. That was a low. I hit a very low moment, and I talk about that a lot of where I couldn't get a client. And I'd started my business, and I'd moved to Austin to, like, expand, and I was an artist, I had a studio. I thought I was really cool and hot shit in my mid-20s.
Right.
And I was failing. I was broke. And I went back to bartending. I was so broke that I was driving around Austin dumpster diving at apartment complexes, furniture, refurbishing it and selling it on Craigslist.
Sure, I've been there.
Yeah.
But you didn't quit.
I didn't quit. And I didn't want anyone to know I was failing because I had started the business and everyone said I wouldn't make it.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is that during that time, I was still just trying to sell my work. I was doing pop-up shows, everything I could. And I was broke for a while. I mean, I tell this story of there was an H-E-B off Old Torf. It's not there anymore, but they had the cheapest ramen. It was 17 cents there. And there was this old gas station down where I lived. I had this old grimy apartment that was roach infested. It was $6.50 a month off South Congress. It was nasty, okay? And there was a gas station down there that sold a 6-pack of Lone Star Light for $4.94 or something like that. That was like my weekend. I could get ramen and a 6-pack of beer and
some
feel
Lone
like
Star, and you were made in the money. Did quitting ever even cross your mind? Like I'm gonna quit now. I'm gonna go originate mortgages, or I'm gonna go be a realtor, or I'm gonna go do all
No,
the shit.
I think I was still trying to figure out, because I was still doing my art and I was bartending, so I was making it. I wasn't gonna go get an office job because I was still surviving. But then what happened is I got a call from a vendor meeting from a guy I had met years before.
Like how many years?
3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
3 years.
Wow.
A guy, he had a restaurant and he needed me to help design it because I would help with design and art. And it was up in Flower Mound. And it's Bari's Italian restaurant.
yeah.
Sebion, who owns it. She knows my story. She never knew how broke I was. I would drive up from Austin. She thought I lived in Dallas. I would bring a cooler with my food that I would make.
Right.
And I would stay at my friend's little apartment. And I would eat out of my cooler, go work that project. I think I made my budget was like $5,000. That was a lot of money.
Yeah.
That changed my life. And after I did it, I acted professional. No one knew I was broke. No one knew that I was in a spot. Okay. But after I finished that project, I told Sebion years later. We're friends to this day. She texts me. She's like, my mom, I
That's
love you. You're
awesome.
my daughter. She goes, why didn't you tell me? Why wouldn't you tell me? I was like, I would never tell
No
you
doubt.
that. I was a professional designer.
Right.
You don't know I'm broke rolling up here with I was selling my clothes at Buffalo Exchange to get gas money.
Yeah.
But it was that
Have you ever
thing.
paid for gas with quarters?
Oh, I've done the chain. I've gone to
Me too.
Coinstar.
Oh yeah.
I've gone to Coinstar. I've sold clothes.
Coinstar's too expensive,
They'll
man.
take
They got
a
the
big
racket. What are we doing here? I used to own some coin-operated car washes.
Wow,
and after
that's
I
good.
ran, sure, yeah, you bet. After I ran that change through there a couple times, I was like, no.
Yeah, they're taking a big cut.
But you can't have someone count it for you.
Oh, you roll into the
Because
bank.
or like if you ask like your assistant to count it, I don't know. If we're coming up 100 or 200. So I'm over there.
Yeah.
Rolling
Getting those paper
quarters.
sleeves. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I don't think that I mean the pride that you feel after you've made it through hard times. Not to say that hard times won't hit you again or I mean, we fight through shit, but doing construction through COVID's been like getting your teeth pulled every damn day.
Yeah.
Every time I turn around, it's oh no, copper is this much. Oh no,
Or it's
concrete's
out, or
this
it's
much,
changing, or you can't get it in, and then
we'll get you your windows in 4 months.
Yep, it's tough.
It's a challenge. It's a knockdown, drag out. You said something though, and then we got sidetracked about taking the
Are we
easy
going
way.
a long time?
No,
Man, hour 54. That's good.
yeah,
That's a lot.
You're awesome.
Cool.
An easy one. The easy road is the one that a lot of people choose, and then when they look back and they go, "Man, when I was young, I wish I would have done this when I was younger."
Taking the chance.
Like, not I wish I would have made more money, or I wish I would have. It's I wish I would have asked that girl out. I wish I would have pursued that opportunity overseas, or just whatever.
Taking that trip, tried that job, whatever. Yeah. I think that it is the harder road. I mean, I'll say, I love what I do, but it's a lot of work.
How do you deal with the
It's a lot of work.
Those cold Coors Lights.
Cold Coors Lights. It's funny. I try and take breaks. I try and take trips. I go and I do acupuncture. I'll kind of do things that soothe. I do a lot of hot baths or walks outside or cold Coors Lights.
There you go. You're going to start doing cold plunge.
So we have the cowboy troughs, like the pools.
Absolutely.
I'll start doing those. I've got
Throw a
the
little
sauna
pump.
blanket. I do the higher dose sauna blanket,
Yeah.
infrared sauna blanket I have.
Who'd you get
Good.
that through? Therasage?
Higher dose.
Higher dose.
Mm-hmm.
I have an infrared, but I sit in it. But it's just
Oh, yeah,
right
it's the little
around you.
thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And man, it works.
It's great.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. What do you do when your mind won't shut off though, and you have all these ideas? Do you just have lists on lists on lists? Like I write lists on my hand, on my phone, on my refrigerator, on my mirror. I got lists everywhere.
I have lists. I have notebooks and lists everywhere.
You start tattooing it on yourself like memento?
I have tattoos, but
Yeah.
no lists. I've got like weird bugs and stuff.
I keep getting people telling me to get a clipboard. You should just tattoo like a
That'd be
clipboard with
funny.
the lines on there. I agree.
That'd be cool.
Because blue.
cool.
If you ever get a write on your hand, use blue ink.
Okay.
It doesn't come off as fast as black.
Oh, good.
So
Okay,
even
good
if
to
you're
know.
like sweating out there in Llano,
it'll stay on.
there, and you're like, oh yeah, I got to pay the power bill today, or shit's gonna
I like
get shut
it.
off. Yeah.
I like it. No,
There's even a guy on there who owes me money right there, where I'm going after
I'm
this.
not gonna call him
Yeah,
out.
don't
but
call him out. Don't let him know. Don't let him
He's
know.
coming for you.
Yeah, 275 pounds
Yeah,
is going to be on your
it's
doorstep
awesome.
in about 90 minutes, bro.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm a list person.
Yeah.
You talk about discipline. I do have a morning routine.
What is it?
I wake up really early. I'm like a 5:30 in the morning.
That seems unlike many artists I know.
Mm-hmm. I like waking up early. It's really quiet, and none of my clients are messaging me or
like that.
bothering me in the morning.
Yep.
But I had to make that choice. I mean, I used to not be super disciplined in the morning, but I have been for the last 6 years. But I like the routine of it. I wake up, I'm really weird about lighting and the color of the light and through the house. So I have kind of like my little path of certain lights I turn on. I light certain incense, like the smells. And then I do my same kind of morning routine with what I drink. And then I'll listen to a daily devotional first thing. Usually is what I do first thing in the morning. It's like a daily devotional. And then I make a list. So every morning I sit down and I make a list of every project that I'm working on. And then I go through like what needs to happen. I mean, it's all handwritten. I do everything like, okay, this project needs this today and what I'm going to focus on. And then I do my finances. I do another page and I recalculate my finances every day. Not as like it's just in the way my brain works.
Did
like
you
I'll
used
sit
to
down.
eyeball your finances?
Never. I was
kinda
terrible with money.
Yeah.
I used to be, I wasn't, like I would have overcharges in my account when I was younger, like in my 20s. I
What
wouldn't
brought
know
about
if I...
this like discipline renaissance in your life?
I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I know that sounds so like
No, great
cheesy
book.
and everyone says like, okay, but it completely changed my thinking.
Yep.
You know, we're brought up to think, you know, having debt is the right way to go. You have a mortgage, you have a car payment, you have all this. Like, I didn't know what an asset and a liability was. You know, I wasn't learning that in school, really. I mean, you're not. And
that's on purpose, by the way.
of course it is.
Yeah.
Keep them in debt, keep them working.
Let's get you off to college. We'll get you that good job.
Yeah, I never took out a student loan.
You had a girl? Me either.
Paid
Good job.
straight. Paid straight. Family helped some, and I paid too. So
Sometimes with quarters.
Hey, sometimes with quarters is right. I mean,
I took cash up to the tuition office
Really?
one
That's
time, and they're like,
awesome.
"No, we can't. You have to go get a cashier's check." I was like, "How about a money order from Kroger?" She was like,
Yeah.
"I guess we could do that. I haven't
do
seen
that.
that in a while." I was like, "I'll be back in 20 minutes."
I love it.
Sure.
I love it. I mean, that's why I transferred out and went to Brookhaven. It was cheaper.
Yeah.
You know, I was at the point where I was like, you know, having the education, it wasn't a big deal to me just knowing I could go out and get a job. I mean, it wasn't something that I was good in school. I didn't really enjoy school.
I don't think I'd go back to college if I
Never.
knew if
What you know now.
if I had this brain and I was 17. I went to college to play ball, so maybe I would have done that.
Okay.
But after a while, you're like, yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
playing at that next level. So
I think certain classes and learning certain things, you know, are important. So I would have like gone to learn about accounting or learn about whatever, but you can do that on YouTube or you can take a little class. You're not having to pay thousands of dollars. And
learning
all
how to
that.
work a system is important.
Yeah.
Like, how often do I really have to show up to school to pass
Yes.
this class?
Yeah.
Can I go to work instead of class? Can I go to rugby practice instead? I would go to classes my senior year. Thursday night classes. I show up for the first class. I go, this is a team project class. They split you into teams randomly. I was like, I will be giving the presentation for our team. I will not be at any of our classes unless it's an exam. I have rugby practice Tuesday and Thursday nights. They'd all be like, oh my God, thank you. You're going to do the presentation. I'll be like, fuck it, yes.
Love it.
For which I had
And then
been.
they'll be on your team. They'll do all the notes and all
there
the
were
things.
times I was so nervous where our senior year project business policy in the big auditorium at North Texas, and I had to do like 2 shots of Crown to chill.
there you go.
And I grew up having to give speeches, man. My dad's a preacher.
Wow.
So I had to get up there and do your speech in front of these 500 people when you're like 8 years old.
Oh, man.
That was nerve-wracking, those
It is
senior project deals. I don't blame you for bailing on North Texas and going to Brookhaven and then doing what you had to do.
And I went back. I went back to UNT and got my bachelor's.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What did you get it in?
In small business organizational development, like a business bachelor's, but it wasn't full business. I mean, I say it's business because I took all the classes, but
yeah. Do you have a passion for like mentoring and helping these younger or other artists learn how to turn it into a business?
I like talking about business with people, but I'm pretty straightforward. Like I wouldn't say like, I mean, I can teach. I would never be a good teacher. I'm pretty direct, I think.
I don't know.
So I feel like I enjoy sharing and making people know that they could do it no matter what they're into, and there's different avenues. Like I love the saying, all rivers lead to the same ocean. Like there's different ways to navigate to get there. It's not like the same process. And then giving them like, letting them know, I mean, sharing my story. I mean, look at the weird stuff I was making, you can do it too.
And I turned it into this.
Yeah. And you don't have to make it that big. I mean, it's like if you just want to make a little extra money on the side, right? Or turn it into a full business. So I do like sharing. I think it's important for people to know that they can do it too, and it's not as scary, or you're not any different than I am.
Yeah.
It is a switch of thinking.
What got you started on dialing in the discipline and the morning routine?
The stress. I think it helped me really control my brain and feeling like out of control.
Because
like,
would you feel like you were running around putting out fires all the time?
That's all I say. I'm a firefighter.
Yeah, I say that
That's
too.
all I say every day. I'm a firefighter. I'm putting out fires every day.
But every guru will tell you you're running your business wrong. You need to hire, you need to scale, and then I guess you just sit in the hot tub all day and you answer like one message.
Then you're managing people.
That's what I'm saying.
No, everyone has been like, why haven't you scaled your people? You don't have employees? I have no interest in managing employees and then being responsible for someone else's income. That would stress me out so bad that if I had to scale the business and be concerned that I've hired these people and they have families and they have now all of a sudden the pressure, knowing that I have to keep producing at a higher rate than I already am, like would be too much for me. And I would have, the creative goes away. I feel like I would be then managing people and not being able to do what I love. I always have said I would love to be set up to where I can walk away at any moment.
Okay. I was going to ask you, how are you balancing the business is very analytical, right? It's very linear. Is creating linear? It's not for me. I always have to have a construction project of some kind that I am running, or I'm just like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I can't.
So when you ask that, what do you mean? Like,
well, like I asked you before, if you don't feel creative on a certain day, that's how we got scrolled off on that prescription talk. But I mean, you're saying like if you had a bunch of people working for you and you were just like this general with all these troops, maybe you'd lose your creative edge. That's what you said. So you're obviously making a conscious decision there. I mean, all these gurus are full of shit. I don't think they've ever run a goddamn business in their life when they're just like, go hire people. There's tons of really good people.
Right.
Just go hire them all. The money, it's just going to appear.
Right.
The systems and processes, just put those in play. And you're like, no, that's not how any of this works, man.
Well, then you're going to deal with different personalities, and then you're going to deal with someone that can't show up, or you're going to deal with someone who quits, and then unemployment. It becomes this whole other thing that I personally have no interest in. I get to collaborate with people, and I subcontract everyone. So I do pretty much have employees per project, but they're subcontracted, and I pay them out per project. It's great. It's very clean. You know what you're making. You know the timeline, and that's it. So I don't have to, create income or certain salaries and things like that to keep up with. I would not enjoy that.
What got you interested in and then got the wheels in motion for your real estate investing ventures?
Yeah, so I love doing creative things, but I also love designing out spaces. And I've always loved to travel, and I've always loved staying in really cool spots, that are designed out really well. I went to Pagosa Springs as a kid. It was the first time I ever saw actual snow, went skiing, and we stayed in Pagosa, and I just fell in love with it. And so,
you know, Willie Nelson has a song called Wolf Creek Pass, right?
Yeah. Someone told me about it the other day.
Yeah, doesn't Wolf Creek have the most snow of anybody by the end of the year?
Yep,
Yeah,
they get the most snow.
That's where we'd always go for spring break.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, the most snow, and then I love going to the springs and just around that area. So my dream was to always buy a piece of land and build like a really cool Airbnb retreat, like designed out really cool spots. So after reading Rich Dad Poor Dad and changing my thinking about money, I ended up completely like changing my life. I stopped going out. I started cooking all my meals at home. I saved every penny that I could. I had a note on my desk with how much money I wanted in my bank account, and I saw it every day. Every day, it just worked and save. I drove that Scion till the wheels fell off of it. People would make fun of me. I would park it.
That's the ad with the little.
It's not the hamsters. That's the
not
cube.
the hamster. Oh, okay.
The Scion XV is like the really square one.
Yes, I know which one it is.
I mean, it was to the point where friends were telling me, like, Leslie, you're going, like, you have huge projects and you're going. I would park it around the corner, so no one would see it and walk into my meetings because I didn't want anyone to see my car. But I was like, I don't have a car payment, and I'm gonna drive it as long. It gets great gas mileage. You know, I think of it like that. I'm like, it's just to get me around. I don't need the best car. I don't want that car payment. I'm still like that because my car right now is another one.
Thinking about vehicles,
it's not a Scion, but it's a Highlander I've had forever, and it's paid off.
But the status symbol, like vehicle perspective, throws me way off. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I used to have trucks that were like ridiculous.
Yeah.
I had a dually. You couldn't even take it through the drive-through at the bank to make a deposit. So I can't say that I'm like holier than thou completely, but I'm now like, give me the truck that looks most like a 90-year-old grandfather buys it.
There you go.
And they're like, we have this silver Chevrolet for you, sir, with road tires on it. I'm like, that's fucking perfect. Let's do this.
Yeah, I look at it for work. I mean, it gets good gas mileage. It fits a lot of things I can put in there.
Yeah.
I have to travel a lot. It's roomy. Going back to that, sorry, I kind of got on a tangent. But so I changed my lifestyle, saved, and my goal was to buy property in Pagosa. So once I hit my goal, I started looking, and I went to Pagosa with the real estate agent and found a piece of property and paid cash. Like that, it wasn't a lot of money. It was a lot of money to me, but I actually bought right outside of Pagosa. It was 3.5 acres in this valley. I mean, there was an old horse, like a ranch where they had horses, and they had like the old.
Probably some donkeys.
Well, it was some donkeys, yeah. So I bought that property. That was in 2016. And then, long story, but my family's farm in Llano, it had been sold out from another family 20 years ago. It's where I spent my summers with my great-grandparents. They lived off the land and sold hogs. Like, I was named after my great-grandfather. I loved being there. I mean, as a little kid, they would just throw me out in the pasture all summer, and I was like building forts, collecting snake. I mean, I loved it. It really shaped, I think, a creative side of me too as a kid. But we were contacted by the people who had bought it and offered us first right to buy it back.
Wow.
And so I had saved to start building in Pagosa, and I was like, oh, I would much rather have my family's farm back that's in Texas, that's close. So I ended up buying it back, and I put money into refurbishing the main house. There was a tiny house there that they had added, so I turned those both into Airbnbs. So I ran those for since 2017, and then I ended up moving down there full-time in 2020 to the main house. And then I've built other rentals on the property, some glamping tents now. So I have 3 Airbnbs that I run.
Good for you.
And then the main farmhouse, which is where I office. And then when I need to travel, I fly out of Austin or I drive up to Dallas. Or
how cool.
It's great.
Yeah.
I love it. So now I'm trying to, things that I'm into, I'm going to put in, I've put in 2 wells, new septic, ran electric. I'm going to put in, I'm going to hand tap one of the wells. I'm
Rosie
going to
the
get
Riveter
I'm going to do some solar with the battery so that I have backup. And then do the orchard. I mean, there's already some pecan trees. We have a plum tree. We have stuff that grows. I've had a great garden, but I'm trying to do the whole bring it back to where it was, like
Sure.
the way that they lived off the land there.
That's
and
so
it's
cool.
really cool for the people that come to rent
Yeah.
to be able to experience that and kind of shift. I mean, I struggle with my business is booming and growing, and I've spent 15 years really building it to where it is, and it's getting bigger. I have amazing clientele, and then the farm life,
Yeah.
I struggle with, what do you really need at the end of the day?
Right.
Time is your most valuable asset. It's the time. And I feel I've gone like a tornado, I'll say, for 15 years. Yeah. Really a blur. I could say the last, I don't even remember all the projects we did. I'm just like, wow, because I'm moving really fast. So trying to slow down a little bit, it's hard. It's hard because I hit a recession before with my business, and it could happen again pretty soon. So it's like I take it all on while it's coming.
Yeah.
Because it could be, in my industry with art and design, that's a luxury item. If things go a little south, people stop spending on that.
Well, let's hope that everybody keeps their head about them here in a couple weeks, and we keep this economy going in Texas like it's going.
Yeah.
A lot of people moving to Texas. You're from Texas.
Yep.
I'm not. I got here as fast as I could.
Good.
Like
Good.
everybody
Yep.
says.
Yep.
What's special about Texas to you?
Oh man. I would say the people, and there's a personality about Texas. I feel like there is this really strong, how do I want to say this? There is a very, what's the word? My neuro drug is fading. I would say, what am I trying to say? It's a very genuine.
Yeah.
I think that there is a very hearty, genuine personality in Texas from people who are from here and raised in Texas, and just the friendly nature of, very welcoming of people coming to Texas, very proud. There is that pride, Texas pride. It was funny, every time I would travel in Europe, people would say, "Where are you from?" I would say Texas. They were like, of course you would say that instead of the U.S.
Yeah.
Yeah. Y'all are so proud you're a Texan. You're not an American. You're a Texan, of course. But there's just like an essence of just pure grit and kindness and tradition. And I feel like it's really been held onto for a long time. And that's something that I really love and cherish, because there is an openness to new things, and there is this, friendly, inviting nature in Texas to everyone. And even where I live now, like in Llano, it's a small town, but I just love the people. It brings in we're a bunch of weirdos, that are just kind of go to the country, and there's creatives and entrepreneurs and guys that, from all over. It's pretty cool. So.
One of the best football players ever to play at North Texas was from Llano. Brad Castle.
I don't
Does
know.
that ring any bells?
No.
Yeah.
But that's cool.
Big strapping
I didn't
fella.
know. Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I always say Texas is awesome because I think it's a very entrepreneurship friendly state. I think a lot of that comes from the oil industry. A lot of boom and bust. A lot of people who, if they can see that you're willing to suffer like they suffered, they'll give you a shot if you're an underdog. They will help if you reach out to someone, even if they're not from here, but they live here.
Yep.
A lot of people have an abundance mentality about, hey, how'd you do that? Here, come over. Let's get a coffee and let's talk about it.
And sharing.
Yeah.
I do feel that too. And I'm very, people have asked, like, why did you choose to stay in Texas as a creative? Why did you stay in Dallas? There was just so much opportunity, with the growth that was happening, and with especially what I do, commercial, all the corporations that were moving here. The growth that happened was insane. And there was just so much opportunity because, when I moved to Austin, it's so concentrated. It was just overflowing with artists, and no one's paying for it. Everyone's showing it for free. There's really no great market there.
Austin's a tough one.
So, being in Dallas, really changed my career from, being there and having a lot more opportunity in the commercial realm and really built my business. Had I moved to LA or New York, I mean, I'm a fighter and a hustler. I probably still would have been, but it would have been a tougher road just, because there's a lot more, less opportunity, I think, in that realm of people in creative, just because it's so concentrated. So
no doubt.
Dallas really offered a great opportunity.
Yeah, I love Dallas.
Yeah.
I think I'll always have a home of some sort here, even if I live somewhere else for months at a time or whatever. I think the ask forgiveness, not permission attitude that the state of Texas comes with is pretty badass. So if people want to connect with you, either professionally for what you can do for them, for their professional space, curating art, getting them set up with design, or if they're interested in your Airbnb VRBOs,
yes,
how should they track you down? Say it right into that camera.
You can Google me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. It's awesome. Okay. So my company's Articulation Art. You can contact me via email.
Yeah.
It's Lesli.
Don't put your cell out there.
LESLI. There's no E on the end. at articulationart.com. I have to say this every day. It's a really long email over the phone. ARTICULATIONART.com. And then Instagram is great.
Yeah.
It's a great platform. It has all of our projects and visuals. It's the same for the rentals. So it's LM_art and design, which is the N.
Awesome.
Woohoo!
Thank you,
We
Miss
did it.
Marshall. Appreciate your time.
Is that it?
It was a straight like how you had to shake hands during the cold. Remember?
Oh, God.
Actually, or that was elbows too, right?
Elbow thing.
Wow, that was awesome. Leslie's got a lot of energy. I knew she would. I hope you enjoyed that podcast. I did. I love sitting down with people, figuring out what it is that makes them tick, especially people who have that adventurous, fearless spirit, that do-it-yourself attitude. Boy, she sure does, man. Get out there and get after it. If you have a dream, if you want to do something with your life, fucking do it. You get one. Go for it. You fall on your face, get back up, keep on going. That's what life is all about. I'd love to talk to other people who you might know, who you'd love to hear me talk to. If you know somebody like that, hit me up on social media at Jess from the Northwest on Instagram and on TikTok. If you want to comment on this video, I'd love to know what you think about the podcast. I like to do them. I like to meet these folks. I appreciate you lending an ear or watching this on YouTube. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you all for the next Jess Marshall podcast.